What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show powered by BetUS. Today, the Portland Trail Blazers came out of the All-Star break with a dud as they lose to the Los Angeles Lakers 110-102 in a game where LeBron James scored his age, Eric, and he's old enough that at this point scoring his age is very, very impressive. 40 points for the 40-year-old LeBron James. Austin Reeves, 32 for the Lakers. The Blazers get 28 from Deni Avdija. We're going to break down the game for a little bit. There's just a few key things that I want to touch upon, but we're going to make it a little bit quicker than normal, as tonight we're also going to reveal our 5th edition of our big boards, and we're going to go 60 players deep, maybe even 65 players deep on our big boards, so we got to save some time for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. Eric has a couple of sleepers that we haven't talked about, and I'm very curious as to who those guys are. All right, one. Let me build up the anticipation over here. But, yeah, it's going to be fun talking about some prospects. I've been diving in deep during the All-Star break on some prospects, and hopefully you guys enjoyed your All-Star break. 8 days without the Blazers. The Blazers are back, and already kind of frustrated me, man. It was nice not having this team, and it's funny because I've been in a really good mood the past, week, you know? I love streaming. This team sometimes just takes its toll on me, man. The 11-game stretch was fun, but now that's 4 straight losses. And this was a game where the Blazers, they were only 1.5-point underdogs, but just struggled to score the ball, struggled to defend. And you had a couple of players that were very, very rough tonight, specifically one that I might have to do a Tory rant about. Eric, how was your All-Star break, and how are you doing?
Great. All-Star break was good, of course. Talked about that earlier over on Blazers Uprise Live. But, nice to have some days off, refresh a little bit, recharge for this last stretch run. Was really hoping for a little bit better performance, especially out of the players that had the worst games tonight. You never want to see a game go down because of those two guys that probably shouldn't even be on the team right now. And it's just kind of frustrating. So this game was a big dud, I think.
And you know what I'm going to do, man? I'm going to have chat decide the first topic we talk about in a chat poll. Just doing something new today, all right? The 4 key topics that we're going to talk about tonight: Jeremy Grant, Deni Avdija, Scoot Henderson, and Tamani Camara. All right, for better or worse. Okay, you guys get to choose the first topic. We're doing something fun here. You guys let us know what you want us to hit on first, and then we'll get to the other things. I just want to see, does chat want us to start off the stream very negatively? Because there is one option that they are already voting for, Eric, that is very, very negative tonight, all right? Very, very negative. And, it's overwhelming support for this one player. So we're back from break. We didn't stream for a week. We're going to get right back to the criticism with this topic. Of course, we call it like we see it. There's a couple of Blazers that played really well tonight. We're going to talk about those guys, but first, chat wants us to start off with Jeremy Grant. Eric, watching this game, all right, there was 2 prevailing thoughts, okay? The first thought was, I never want to see Jeremy Grant have the ball in a 3-on-1 fast break ever again. And the second thought was, man, I'm sure the Lakers are glad that Cronin wanted too much for him this past offseason. Because, my goodness, was that dude absolutely brutal tonight. And it's fascinating to look at the ESPN box score and see the first 3 names. They're all forwards. Tamani Camara, Jeremy Grant, Deni Avdija. Camara and Avdija, really good games. And then Grant sandwiched in the middle. 1 for 12, 1 for 5 from 3. Had 3 points, 3 steals, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. At least he got multiple assists and rebounds, right? 1 for 12 from the field, though. Couple of turnovers. Fouled out. 6 fouls for Jeremy. Was a minus 13. He was brutal, Eric, and I'm just going to officially declare him right now as a negative contract. There is no way that dude is not a negative contract. With how he's played this year, and then the Blazers not getting off him after seeing how bad he has stunk all season long, And of course, the first game out of the break against the team that supposedly had interest in him this past offseason, this dude comes out and looks like just awful. I mean, how many times did this dude have the ball in a 3-on-1 fast break and could dump it off to a teammate for a wide open layup? There was 2 or 3 times, and that's pretty much the difference in this game, right? The Blazers go on a run late, cut it to 4, and then have a 3-on-1 fast break. He gets the ball, should just give it back to, I forget who's running with, Avdija, I think, and maybe Camara. I don't know. You got a 3-on-1 fast break, and Austin Reeves is in front of him trying to take a charge. And instead of just dumping it back to a teammate for a lay-in, this dude drives right into Austin Reeves. You could see it coming from a mile away, and it was brutal. He also, on a 3-on-1 fast break, had a layup that he smoked when he could have easily dished it off to a teammate. Two, yeah. Don't let me shortchange him here. I mean, the defense, he didn't slow anyone down tonight. LeBron had 40, Reeves had 32, and basically defensively, it's, can we just keep Camara on LeBron, because if not, we're going to struggle, and hopefully keep Avdija on Austin Reeves, and then maybe we have a chance. But like every time Jeremy Grant guarding someone, like he can't get through a screen, right? He cannot get through a ball screen to save his life. And it's just baffling to me that this dude is still a Portland Trailblazer making the money that he made. It's still just baffling to me that the Blazers not only gave him the contract that they gave him, but then also asked too much and decided not to trade him, and now they're stuck with him being paid an insane amount of money to play 30 minutes, score 3 points, go 1 for 12 from the field and 1 for 5 from 3. And also it's like, man, the Blazers, if they keep going this route, they're going to tank at the end of the year, but they don't have to sit Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant almost single-handedly lost them this game. It's that impressive. So those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts on Grant, Eric? Because he was infuriating tonight.
Yeah, this is the most triggered I've been by a Blazer player this entire season. I was screaming at my TV at one point.
Your poor TV.
Stop effing auto-switching, Jeremy. The freaking... This happened so many times. Tamani would get through the screen cleanly, be basically still in front of Jeremy, and Jeremy still like pushes him off or like tells him to switch or whatever, and then Tamani's like, twice he put up his hands like the Jordan shrug, like, why are you switching? Like, I got through the pick.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, he did it like multiple times with Anthony. Anthony was actually getting through the screen. They were trying to hunt him. And Anthony was doing a great job of getting through where he did not need to switch with Jeremy. He could have stayed on the guy, and then Anthony wouldn't have gotten switched onto LeBron like the Lakers want to do. That's the whole point of their action, is to get Anthony switched on him. So Jeremy just decides that he's going to make Anthony switch for no reason when he doesn't have to. It happened multiple times in a row. And I'm just like, Jeremy, what are you doing? Chauncey, why are you just standing? Because it was right in front of Chauncey. It was like 10 feet away from him. It's like, why are you just allowing him to do this over and over and over again? And I'm not saying Anthony had a good game. He did not. But in terms of being hunted at the top, when Anthony's guarding his guy, he knows the screen's coming. He fights through it cleanly, can easily stay with his defender, and Jeremy tells him to switch, and he gets stuck on LeBron. That is not on Anthony Simons. That is on Jeremy Grant. Yep. And then you auto-switch, and then you fall asleep and leave Austin Reeves wide open for a 3. You just turn around and turn your back to him and let him hit the dagger 3 there towards the end and put the game out of reach. Like, so not only did you auto switch, but then you couldn't even guard your man one pass away, who was one of the, besides LeBron, the hottest player in this game. Like, what are we doing?
He is not a good team defender outside of situations where he's the primary help defender on drives. In those situations, he can block some shots and he can be a secondary rim protector. Outside of that, his team defense is awful. His rotations, awful. Getting through screens, just the way that he switches screens, everything you just talked about, man. It's why he's not a good defender. It's why you have Deni Avdija. People keep telling me to say Avdija. Deni Avdija. You got Deni Avdija. You got Tamani Camara. Both guys are good defenders. Camara is a phenomenal defender. And you have to wonder, oh, this team is still a borderline bottom 5 defense. Why is that? A big part of the reason is you got Jeremy Grant in the starting lineup, and he has, in my opinion, always been an overrated defender. I even said that when the Blazers first got him. I went back, I watched his bubble tape, watched him guarding against the Lakers in the conference finals in the bubble, and that was supposedly peak Jeremy Grant defense. And the only thing that stood out to me was like, oh, this dude is not getting through a screen at all, but he's so bad at getting through a screen, he's not even guarding the guy when he scores, so people don't think he's being scored on, right? The screen navigation's terrible. He got back screen today, and Scoot didn't switch, and he just got completely picked off, and LeBron got a lay-in. I mean, that's kind of on Scoot to help, but it's just another thing where it's like, yeah, Jeremy Grant's getting screened 30 feet away from the rim and just getting completely taken out of a play by a screen. He's just the defensive IQ, the offensive IQ for a veteran making that sort of money is not good. And people say you need vets on a rebuilding team. I think you need high IQ vets. And preferably, as we've always said, not vets making $30 million a year that don't deserve it and are now on a bad contract, right? But if you just
feels obligated to play
an insane amount of minutes. But like, if you just ignore that, man, I want guys that are high IQ veterans. And Jeremy, man, he's talented. He's physically gifted. And I'm not even going to sit here and call him like a low IQ player. I'm not trying to be that critical of him. But there's just so many things that happen in games like tonight where it's just like, what are you doing? You don't see the guy a mile away taking a charge in front of you. You don't know that you got two teammates right next to you on a 3-on-1 fast break. Like, and then all the defensive stuff you talked about, it really makes you question just like his overall awareness and feel on the floor, man. But a game like this, it felt even worse than it's been in the past with him. We know he's not a guy that's going to create much for others, right? We know he's not a good rebounder. We already know these things, but it was just even worse tonight. Like, you got to be able to make some of the extra passes on the break that he just completely failed to make. And defensively, Connor has a good comment. I want to read this off. Jeremy is so bad at getting through screens that he assumes auto-switching screens is normal. Yeah, he doesn't know what getting through a screen is, so of course, that's why he switches everything.
But sorry, the vibes. He just went to Cannon Beach over the All-Star break, so he's the best Blazer ever. Because
so I mean, there's some people out there that want to rebuild for vibes, and that's the number one thing we're rebuilding for, is to have good vibes again. Okay, so for those people, Jeremy Grant, perfect fit. He actually went to the Oregon coast. They never even did that.
Yeah.
And he's wearing, and he's dressed like a Portlander, right? Although what would I know? I'm from Vancouver, Washington, so I don't know. But yeah, he's good vibes, man. I don't care. Like, I want to rebuild. I want this team to rebuild itself into a contender one day. Jeremy Grant's contract on the books is going to make that harder. I don't know how they get off of it before it's expiring. I at this point, Eric, I kind of expect Jeremy Grant to be a Blazer at 33 years of age in 2027 or 2028. The question is he going to be getting DNPs by then, or is he still going to be starting? You know, it's the Blazers are staring down I don't know, like they are staring a major issue in the face and walking head on into it. They walked head on into it with this guy. They first gave him that contract, then they asked for too much last offseason. They didn't trade him at the deadline, and people tried to say, oh, look at that 11-game sample. They played well. They don't need to make any moves. They don't have to rush things with Jeremy Grant. But what did I always warn those people that were saying we could be patient with Jeremy Grant? It was, he could decline. He's past 30. He's kind of athleticism-based. That's the first thing to go. So if you're too reliant upon athleticism, then you're really going to fall off fast. And there was a very realistic scenario entering the season where Jeremy Grant takes a step back, and all of a sudden that contract, which was maybe barely a positive contract, it was still a pretty big contract even with him playing well last year, that can very quickly turn into a negative contract. And that's what I try to warn people, man. But Cronin, in only the way that he can, kick the can down the road, and now you're kind of stuck with the can. Like, you can't get rid of Jeremy. I think they would have to attach an asset to him this offseason. If they can get rid of him for nothing, I will happily say I'm wrong. He just doesn't make sense on this team. He is clearly the third best forward on this team. And he's being paid more than the other two guys combined. He might be making twice as much average annual value compared to Deni because his contract's declining, and Tamani Camara because he's on his rookie contract. He's making probably twice as much as those guys. He's older than those guys. He is clearly worse than those guys. And it's just ridiculous how Portland walked face first into that.
Yeah, are we sure he's better than Chris Murray at this point?
I'm not going to go that far. He's still better than Chris Murray, but I mean, that's the conversation we're having. Like, I don't know. Is he closer to Camara and Avdija, or is he closer to Chris Murray at this point? He's been brutal all year, man. And I don't know, maybe in a different situation he'd be much better, but it's like you have him in Portland and you're not getting him out of Portland, so he is what he is here. And that's just not a good player this year at all. At all. So maybe he can find a way to tighten some things up in the offseason and bounce back and play his way into some sort of value. That's what the super optimistic side of myself would say and hope for, but it's not looking good.
Yeah. Is anyone in chat still happy that we kept him deadline?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just curious.
And like some people were trying to put him and Anthony Simons in the same conversation. There was multiple times where I thought Anthony Simons played good one-on-one defense in this game. The thing is like he's not going to stop LeBron. LeBron's 6'8", 250, and is 6'3". Like that's a mismatch. So if he's at a matchup disadvantage because Jeremy Grant is switching him onto LeBron and Ant gets scored on, you shouldn't be blaming Ant. You should be blaming Jeremy. But that's the problem, is everybody just focuses on, LeBron scored on Ant. Bad defense. Ant sees bad defense. No, like you do not want your 6'3" guard switched onto LeBron. It's a mismatch in LeBron's favor.
That's all the other team is doing. They've done that all season. That's all the other team's doing is hunting that mismatch. And this is what game is this, Tori? 70, or you put 72 in the thing, isn't it?
I put 72. Look at me, no, it's like 56. Where did I get 72 from?
I don't know. I was confused for a second.
Thanks for correcting that. I will fix that. Wow.
I was like trying to think of what game it was. I thought it was in the 50s, and then I looked out and see game 72 on my screen.
I don't even know. I don't even know how I made that mistake. That's wild, man.
Yeah. Once again, chat, for those couple people in chat, Anthony Simons was absolutely terrible tonight. I'm not saying he was good. Like, please stop with this thing that some of you do where we can't have a conversation and mention one person's name without you being like, oh, he was trash. Don't you dare say anything good about that person. Like, come on. Like, grow up and have an adult conversation with us, dude.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I've been very critical of Anthony Simons this season. Okay. But I also think some of you take it a little bit too far to try and confirm your own narratives that you have about him.
I said he did a great job of getting through screens. That does not mean he had a great game. He was not the reason why the Lakers' offensive game plan worked on us, okay?
Yeah.
like he was trying to get through screens, was actually doing it, and still got auto-switched by Jeremy off of his guy. That's not on Anthony. And I'm sick of people trying to come into chat every freaking game and tell us, as we explain why it is not his fault. Oh, Ant's just a trash defender. He doesn't try her. Blah, blah, blah. He sucked tonight. Whatever. Like, you guys, I'm explaining why on defense I am not as hard on Anthony Simons as I am on Jeremy Grant tonight. If we're going to talk about offense, Anthony Simons was absolutely brutal. Was probably right up there with Jeremy as the reason why we lost this game. But, like, we can still talk about a player and say something that he did well in this game without it being biased or without it being like, oh, yeah, I actually thought Anthony Simons was awesome tonight. No, he wasn't. Like, he sucked.
Yeah,
like,
you can be. There's so many facets of the game of basketball, man. It's kind of crazy that we have to explain this, but there's so many facets of the game of basketball. You can have a really bad game and be good in a couple facets, defensively or offensively. Like, there's so many different facets of the basketball. You could be bad at 80% of them, have a really bad game, but do a couple of things well in a game. And unfortunately, with sports takes and sports conversations nowadays, you're either the best or you're the worst. It's black and white. You're either had a really good game or a really bad game, right? It's the same thing where, like, if I criticize something with Ayton, but he had 19 and 12, Ayton fans will come in here and say, it's so ridiculous that you're criticizing him for anything. He had 19 and 12. It's like
top 5 center of all time.
Yeah, let's be a little bit more nuanced here, all right? So I thought Ant had a couple possessions where he played good isolation defense. I thought getting through screens isn't really his problem. His problem most of the time is like he just can get walked down to the rim, opens the door too much, isn't strong enough, isn't big enough. He has a lot of, like, his physical traits don't lead him to being a good defender. It's part of the reason why you can't switch him on to LeBron James. It's part of the reason why Jeremy Grant has to do a better job of staying on LeBron James, because if we want to sit here and act like Jeremy Grant is a good defender, his ideal archetype is somebody that can slow down LeBron James, not give up 40 to him. So if he's what people try and chalk Jeremy Grant up to be, he needs to find a way to stay on LeBron. Even Jeremy Grant playing bad defense, I still think has a better chance on LeBron than Anthony Simons. It's literally that simple. So I don't think Ant's effort was bad tonight. And listen, I think there's times where Ant's effort has been bad, and I disagree with Eric. And I will never be afraid to disagree with Eric on Anthony Simons. We have disagreed a lot this year. If I felt like Anthony Simons was giving piss poor effort in this game, I would call it out. I've called it out earlier this season, right? I just think some of you guys want to prove your narratives about him so bad that you will go a little bit overboard. And listen, we're all prone to that. We're all biased towards our own opinions, right? And people will say, oh, you do the same with DeAndre Ayton. Okay, fine, but, you know, that's your opinion. So, Ant did not play well tonight. Offensively, really struggled. Had a couple of possessions where he just kind of dominated the ball. Nobody's moving, isolating, that sort of stuff. But he did have 7 assists and only 1 turnover. Let me double check that. Yeah, 7 assists, 1 turnover. Like, that's better than somebody who on a 3-on-1 fast break ruins every 3-on-1 fast break. Because he'll charge directly into a defender in front of him instead of passing it to a teammate for an open layup, or will smoke contested layups instead of dropping it to a teammate for an open layup. Like, if you have the ball with 2 guys running with you on a 3-on-1 fast break and you don't score, that's on you. That's on you. The only way that's not on you is if you pass it to a teammate and they smoke a very easy layup. Like, you should always be able to convert that in the NBA. You should always be able to make the right read in that situation. I don't care if it's clinging with the ball on a fast break. You should, if you're in the NBA, you should be able to know what to do on a 3-on-1 fast break. It's ridiculous if you can't. Multiple times in this game, Jeremy Grant completely failed there, and it was completely ridiculous, and absolutely should be criticized. I mean, this dude, it's just frustrating. Like, I wish he was expiring. The Blazers need to move on. It's crazy that they're stuck with that contract and he's playing this bad and playing this many minutes. Like, why did he play 30 minutes tonight? Why did Sharp only play 21? I know Sharp had some rough defensive moments and turned over the ball 4 times. It was 4 for 11. He wasn't any worse than Jeremy Grant tonight. But Grant still gets his 30 minutes a game. Grant's still going to play a ton of minutes. Grant doesn't get punished. Grant doesn't get held accountable. Grant doesn't get his minutes cut at all, no matter how he performs. It's like Chauncey has a love and a blind eye to Jeremy Grant, where it doesn't... How Jeremy Grant plays has no effect on what happens with him in a game. We've seen games where Jeremy will play 36 minutes where he's absolutely awful in almost every facet of the game, and you'll have somebody, Sharp, Scoot, whoever, playing good off the bench, and they're playing far less minutes. Right? And people say, oh, Grant's a forward. Those guys are guards. Well, they're starting 3 forwards. They're basically starting a forward at a guard spot. So you can cut down Jeremy Grant's minutes and give more to Sharp or Scoot, play Camara and Avdija at the 3 and 4 instead of the 2 and 3. And if you're trying to win games, that's fine. Because people, I just don't understand. There is this excuse that, like, Chauncey's not going to play the young guys because he's not re-signed, so he's going to try and win. If Chauncey's trying to win, I don't understand why Grant's playing so much.
Yeah, and also, I mean, Jeremy plays 30 minutes tonight. Sharp plays 21. The thing is, how many times has the broadcast, if you watch the Blazers broadcast, for those of you that do, how many times have they mentioned Shaden Sharp's scoring in clutch situations this
Yeah.
year? Oh, and was this a close game with 5 minutes left? Yes, it was. Oh, what happened right around the 5 minute mark? Let's take out Shaden Sharp and take him out of the game. So, like,
Yeah.
what you're saying is like Chauncey's trying to win, yet if you're going by like history, uh, Sharp had some really bad moments in this game too, which we'll talk about later. But
But he's 21 and not
right,
being
he's
paid an obscene
21.
amount of money. Develop him. Simple.
He's been good in the clutch in those moments, and you take him out and leave someone in that's what finishes 2 for 12 from the field, and yeah. So it's just this is exactly what I don't want to have happen the rest of the season. I want to lose this game, but at least Sharp and Scoot and stuff got some really quality minutes there at the end in a close game against LeBron, and this is going to help them grow instead of go take a seat and watch Jeremy or commit a charge and then brick a bunch of shots and then turn the ball over on when we need a three for some reason. He's driving in and getting stripped in the lane. Like, come on, dude. Like.
Yeah. I mean, perfectly
How is
said.
that going to be good for our development? Like,
Yeah.
what? We're lost anyways. Like, this season is like.
I'd rather lose with young guys making those silly mistakes than a 30-year-old vet. You know what I mean? It's literally that simple.
But Sharp hasn't made those mistakes in the clutch.
Yeah.
He's been good in the clutch.
Like, I'd rather lose Sharp going 0 for 20 than lose with Grant doing the crap that he did tonight, man. That's just where it's at. It's a rebuild. I know people thought we exited the rebuild because we had a good 11-game stretch, even though that's like 1/8 of the season, right? Which is crazy people. We're saying we're done with the rebuild. They're a rebuilding team, man. They're a rebuilding team. So it's that simple. You value your youth. You let those guys make mistakes, grow, give those guys as many reps as possible, develop them, prioritize that. You don't prioritize Jeremy Grant trying to screw up as many 3-on-1 fast breaks as he can in a game. So, but the Blazers, we talked about the deadline. I don't even want to go too far into this anymore. Like, that's just the directionless stuff that we get frustrated with. And I just don't really see how it's going to get resolved. So I guess, Eric, we better get used to it, man, right? And we better get used to it. And we better, I don't know, be happy when he has a 4 for 11 game.
Yeah, and it'd be one thing if we're, talking about a loss tonight with the usual, we sat players like Jeremy. But hopefully as this season dwindles down, we're not talking about him at all because he's not playing. Can you just get an Ayton, some sort of fake injury? And I'm not saying Ayton's injury is fake right now, but can you get a finger contusion that keeps him out 2 weeks or something? Like, can we just do that, please? Why did we do that the last few seasons and not this season?
Then we might win some games, man. They're trying to tank. They're trying to tank. That's why they're playing him 30 minutes in a game like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, let's move on from Jeremy. Let's talk about Deni. He was second place on that poll. It was really nice to see Deni Avdija have a good game. He kind of struggled right before the All-Star break, but he had a wrist that was bothering him. Also, just seemed a little gassed. He plays so hard every night that a guy like that gets gassed in some games. His energy isn't up there. I'm just going to assume, oh yeah, he's just exhausted because he plays so hard every night, right? He gets an All-Star break. He comes back. He has an absolutely phenomenal game for the Portland Trail Blazers. Let me pull up the box score here. He had 28 points on 14 shot attempts. 28 points, 5 assists, 4 boards, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, 9 for 14 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, 8 for 10 from the free throw line. Phenomenal game for him. He was a +1. The Blazers outscored the Lakers when Deni Avdija was on the court. And And it was really good to see him get back to the type of play he had for a couple of months there, which was him asserting himself as the best player on the team.
Yeah, really good game from Deni outside of that one terrible turnover late in this game. That was also a really bad moment to have a pass that led to a fast break bucket. But other than that, Deni was really strong as usual, taking the ball to the basket. Just got to the free throw line a bunch. Really enjoyed his performance tonight. Thought, he was easily our best player. I don't think that's a question. By far our best player tonight, and kind of helped us stay in this game at times. So good game from him.
Yeah, man. I would like to see him be even more aggressive on a lot of nights. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I love it when Denny's aggressive. Every time he has an open three, shoot it. I kind of wish he would shoot a little bit more from three. Like, he only shot 3 threes in this game. He made 2 of them. I would like to see him get a couple more up, especially when Jeremy Grant's bricking a bunch of them and Anthony Simon's bricking a bunch of them, right? So he's a keeper. Obviously, he's on a great contract. It's almost like, yay, they got Deni Avdija on a great contract so that they can deal with being stuck with Grants. It's almost how it feels like to me. When instead it should be, wow, we're in a rebuild. We have this dude on a great contract. We got 2 high-level starting caliber forwards for very cheap right now. And we got Klingon, we got Sharp, we got Scoot all on rookie contracts. Like, they should have a ton of flexibility to accumulate assets and put themselves in a really good position. And listen, I try not to I don't try to bring every conversation back to that. But it's just my biggest frustration with the team, man. Because it's like, that's part of the reason why the Deni trade was really good and why I praised Joe Cronin about that trade was you got a dude that is underrated, really, really good player on a phenomenal contract, which should allow you to set yourself up in a position to really maximize this rebuild. That is the perfect type of player if you're going to trade for a player to be a part of the future core and maximize the rebuild. And it's like, I just want to praise him for actually taking advantage of that to maximize the rebuild. And it's like, nope, we still got all these vets making an insane amount of money. So it's just so frustrating to me.
Yeah, I'm not saying, he is not this player. I'm not comparing the players, so please don't get it twisted, chat. But when Golden State was building their roster towards winning a championship, they got Steph Curry on a 4-year, $44 million contract. And this is back when the salary cap was much lower than it is right now. And that kind of helped them build the team around him with a lot of players and make that roster as good as you could make it. So, it would be awesome to be sitting here. It's like in the NFL when you have a quarterback on their rookie deal, right? And you can afford to keep your defense together. And then once you have to pay that guy, the rest of your team suffers, right? And so right now we're being bogged down by the big veteran contracts when we could be set up to have an insanely good cap situation. And as B Skrilla says in chat, Tamani and Scoot, the best contracts. Yeah, Scoot's make 11 or 12 million or something like that as the 3rd pick. So he's right around where Deni is. And then, Tamani's making a couple million. Yeah, we'd have a lot of really good, strong rookie deals and value contracts if not for that. So that's why it still baffles me why we're in the situation we're in. And still not setting up our salary cap that way. But like you said, we always digress back to that, I guess.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah. Because all the frustrations with a guy like Grant playing the way he did tonight all goes back to the Blazers being stuck with him, unable to move on from him making so much money. Like, that's what makes his performance even worse. I'd be frustrated regardless with his performance tonight, but it's all the circumstances around it and how it's holding him back from being in a really, really good position, man. And us being able to have a lot of fun talking about all the possibilities they could accumulate assets as the CBA nerds that we are. So, yeah, I digress. Deni played great. And then you got Tamani. He was phenomenal tonight, and he's been really, really good lately. Thinking Basketball did a video on his defense that was really fun to watch, man. He is just a game wrecker. Drew multiple offensive fouls again tonight. He's like, I think the stat was something like he's drawn twice as many offensive fouls as the second place person in the league or something crazy like that. It's wild what he's doing defensively. And he absolutely, Eric, I'm getting to the point, like, he absolutely should be on an all-defensive team. Absolutely, right? Drawing offensive fouls is as good as a steal, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're forcing a turnover. Also, you can get guys into foul trouble that way, right? That should absolutely be taken into account. I'd rather have somebody draw an offensive foul than block a shot, because a lot of times the offense is getting that shot back, like the block's going out of bounds or they get the ball, right? So I value somebody being able to draw offensive fouls more than a block shot. Now, if you got somebody like Klingon that can deter a bunch of guys all game long in his presence, like, that matters a ton, so it's more than just block shots, right? But Klingon with Tamani is going to be a lot of fun for a long, long time defensively. And offensively, Tamani hit threes today, had a really nice drive in reverse lay-in. Like, he's legitimate 3-and-D with a little extra on top of that. So the league's finally waking up to him. I think he should be on an all-defensive team. What were your thoughts on him tonight?
Yeah, he was awesome tonight. He also had that blow-by of LeBron and then had a nice dump-off to, I think, Robert Williams at the time for a lay-in. Yeah, just real solid, awesome game from him. Should have had more points because, like we mentioned, we had a few 3-on-1 fast breaks that didn't work out because the person with the ball decided they were going to take it in on LeBron and try to lay it up over him or go right into Austin Reeves instead of just passing it to a wide open Camara who had an easy dunker lay-in. But yeah, now that Wemby's not going to be eligible for defensive teams or anything like that, it does open up another spot. I absolutely agree that he should be considered. I just wonder how much Portland's reputation the past few years, and then also, like, if you look at some of the advanced stats on our defense, if that will hinder his candidacy for one of those teams.
Basically, if you're voting for all defensive team and you're a casual, you'll care about that stuff more than you should, instead of paying attention to what he's actually doing on a night-in, night-out basis.
Right.
So, but I mean, once this team, I think at some point in his career he's going to make an all-defensive team. I mean, how do you lead the league in charge, lead the league by far in offensive fouls drawn, you block shots, you guard the best player every night, you've held some star players to some really, really low scoring nights. Like, he does everything. Can battle against Jokic a little bit, right? He does everything. So I don't know what else more you could want out of him defensively right now. It's not his fault that the rest of the team is a mess. So I understand if you want to reward players on better teams. I get it. But I think once the Blazers are competent again, are good again, then there's going to be no excuse to leave him off some of these teams, because he is truly in my opinion, he's bordering on a top 5 perimeter defender in the league, man, which is really special and really fun to say.
Yeah, outside of like the rim protectors and then maybe a couple of elite perimeter defenders, it's hard to argue that his defense has been less impactful than, like I said, some of the premier rim protectors. I mean, like, who else is like affecting a game that much on defense the way Tamani's been? If you're paying close attention, like you said.
Yeah, agreed. It's frustrating because like guy like LeBron will go off, and it's like how many of those were against Tamani? You know what I mean? Like, teams try and get Tamani off their stars for a reason. right? And the problem is I think the Blazers too willingly switch or play defense in a way where Tamani's not matched up against the best player. There's too many possessions where Tamani ends up off the best player that's not his own fault. And you touched upon it earlier with Grant just auto-switching even if Camara is getting through screens. And it's part of the reason why they're not actually better defensively is because they're not allowing Tamani to guard stars as much as he should be because of some of the crap they do. It's a problem. So you got to find a way to keep him on a guy like LeBron or on a guy like Austin Reeves because they don't have the nights they had tonight if you could keep Tamani Camara matched up against them more often.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, here are the team stats if anybody's interested. 33 rebounds for the Blazers is crazy. I'm going to check ESPN to make sure that wasn't a typo. Javon, help me out with this graphic. 33 rebounds. Is that a season low? Because that feels very, very low, man. To only have 33 rebounds.
I don't know if it's a season low because we had that stretch where we were talking about how bad our rebounding was. Every game.
Normally they end up with more than that. That feels that feels very low. Only 6 offensive boards. That's the one thing is the Blazers are really good crashing the offensive glass. They didn't do that tonight.
Yeah, and the craziest part about the rebounds, did you see the start of this game?
I listened to it on the radio.
I want to say the Lakers missed their first 8 shots from the field or something like that. And we still only have 33 rebounds. Yeah. We had 18 at halftime, so only 15 in the second half total rebounds. That's crazy.
I think this graphic is broken too because I need to actually save a template because we did not have 31 turnovers. We had 17. That was my bad. That wasn't Javon. 17 turnovers for the Blazers. 24 for the Lakers. 24 for the Lakers.
Well, 17 blocks is crazy.
Yeah. 17 blocks would be crazy. Yeah. That was my mistake. Look at me, full of graphical mistakes today, Eric.
Wow. You take a week off and look what happens.
I know. I think when I put game 72, I think I was thinking of how many first-round picks the Blazers would have to attach to Jeremy Grant to get off his contract.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's probably what it was. But 24 turnovers. Well, that's why the rebound number is so low. They gave up 24 turnovers, or they turned the Lakers over 24 times.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they should have maybe had more than 22 fast break points off those 24 turnovers. If you're forcing that many turnovers, I would like to see them get out and run a little bit more. But
consider this, okay? Lakers in the first half were 2 for 15. That means they missed 13 three-point shots. And we still only had 18 rebounds?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so bad.
It's wild. Let's talk about Scoot. I want to be done talking about this game. Because I didn't even plan on talking about this long, man. This game was gross. We got our top 60 big board that I'm really excited for. Okay, so Scoot just had a bad shooting night. I don't think it's anything more than that. He had a bad shooting night. Scoot scores 12 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 turnovers, 2 for 8 from 3, 4 for 13 from the field. It's not like he had one miss that was bad, but you could tell by the way he caught the ball it was going to be bad. I expected him to airball it. I've seen him airball when he catches the ball the way he did. I don't even know how to explain it, but he was in the corner, had to rush a 3. All right, bad miss. Everything else, misses weren't that bad. He missed some shots. With how well he's been shooting, he's bound for a bad shooting night. I'm not going to freak out at it, and I don't think anybody should read too much into it. He still shot the ball with confidence. He was 1 for 7 from 3 and hit a 3 in transition. His form still looks good, right? I still think he shot the ball confidently despite it not being a great shooting night. Sometimes the ball's just not going to go in the hoop, and I feel like it wasn't really from a decision-making standpoint where he was taking all these bad shots or anything like that. It was just a bad shooting night for him.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of his turnovers seemed a little sloppy, but other than that, yeah, he just missed some threes that he been hitting lately, and I'm not going to kill him too much for that.
Yeah, he's coming off an injury too, and it's always interesting to see guys come out of an All-Star break and just see, like, all right, are they a little bit rusty? They haven't played a legitimate game in 8 days, but for Scoot, it was, 10 days, so with how well he'd been shooting, it almost feels like, oh yeah, he just he doesn't have the rhythm that he had for 2 months because he hasn't played in 10 days. That's kind of what this game felt like to me. I don't know if that's really what it was or not, but we'll be interested to see him next game. Hopefully he has a good shooting game and gets right back to the way he was shooting the ball, because he was basically up to almost 37% from 3. He was 36.5%. Like, he shoots that number the rest of the year. We are very happy with the shooting leap he took this year. So, not going to focus on too much on one particular game for him, given how well he shot the 3 ball before this.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I know it's not hot takey, but I think it's valid. Anything else from this game you want to talk about?
No, I think we pretty much covered most of it. How about anyone in chat?
Yeah, chat. Anything else that we missed that you really want us to talk about, let us know. Otherwise, we are going to get into our big boards. I still don't know what I want to do 4 through 7. This is going to be wild, man. This is going to be a wild big board reveal.
Wild, huh?
Very wild. I am actually down to go through 70.
Good for you.
You can go through. Are you ready to go through 60?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Oh, man.
We'll see when we
had
get
a whole
there.
All-Star break. Yeah, we going through 60. At least I'll go through as many as I feel comfortable with. Oh, Tankathon first. Yeah, that's right. We got to do a Tankathon. You're right. Yeah. Connor says our fake deadline run is going to get longer every year until we eventually fake run our way to the finals. Yeah. Yeah, we're just trying to extend that trade deadline run we go on every year. We got it up to 11 games this year, so maybe we can get it up to like 15 games next year, and maybe by the time I have grandkids, then we'll be in the finals. All right. We'll do Tankathon. I don't see anything in chat. Let me know if you see anything in chat that they want us to talk about from this game, but I feel like we touched upon everything relevant. We can talk about it after Tankathon. Here's Tankathon. The Blazers are currently... Dude, can the Sixers pull their heads out of their asses, man? Lost 6 in a row. Lost 8 out of their last 10. Got destroyed by the Celtics tonight. I don't know why I took the Sixers, Eric. They suck. They've been playing terribly even when healthy. They're terrible. Are the Blazers going to be able to catch them? Like, at what point do they start tanking? The good news is they are only 1.5 games out of a play-in. I'm just praying that, like, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Chicago aren't going to tank, even though Brooklyn has tried to. They kept Cam Johnson, though. I just hope, like, that 10th seed being so bad is going to play out in the Blazers' favor and they can pass them all up. That's my best hope here, Tankathon-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Also, was worried about, Wemby out for the year. Are the Spurs going to tank and then get Cooper Flag? Like, that's kind of scary. Because the thing is right now, the Spurs have a 5% chance at the number 1 overall pick with their pick plus Atlanta's pick, which is greater than Portland's. But they beat the Suns tonight. The Suns are... Dude. The Suns are in trouble, Eric. They've lost 4 in a row, 8 out of their last 10. They're 26-29. They're 2 games out of the 10th seed. Is it... Maybe it was already time, but, like, it's time to hit the panic button in Phoenix, right? Like,
oh, absolutely.
That's a mess.
Hopefully they've hit it by now, because it is absolutely time to panic.
Durant and Booker didn't even play well tonight. Royce O'Neal was their leading scorer tonight. If Royce O'Neal was outscoring KD and Booker, either they had a really, really good game or a really, really bad game. No in between. It was a really, really bad game. They lost by double digits against the Spurs without Wemby. So that was crazy. Let's simulate it. Let's scroll from the bottom. Let's see if we get lucky. We're not ethically tanking anymore, but maybe that has run its course. At 14, we got Miami via Golden State. At 13, we got Atlanta via Sacramento. At 12, we got Houston via Phoenix. At 11, we got San Antonio via Atlanta. At 10, we have San Antonio. At 9, we have Portland. Boring. We need to move up.
Yay!
8, we got Chicago. 7, we got Brooklyn. 6, we got Philadelphia. What a boring tankathon sim out of the All-Star break. At 5, we have Washington moving down 4 spots. At 4, we have Utah moving down a spot. At 3, we have Toronto moving up 2 spots. At 2, we have Charlotte, which means New Orleans gets the number 1 overall pick. That is tankathon. That was boring. Boring.
Congrats.
Shout out to Brandon Lee with the $2 donation. Says, will Billups seek accountability from Grant? What is Grant supposed to be accountable for, man? Like, if you heard his post-game press conference, he was kind of, like, low-key making excuses for Grant. So, I don't think so. Thank you for the donation.
I don't even think it was low-key. It was like, oh, he got some incredible looks. He just didn't make them.
Yeah. Something about spacing, too. Or it's just like, what, man? At what point will Chauncey be like, maybe this dude is not playing well enough for me to play him 30 minutes. Maybe I should hold him accountable. I don't know. Anyway, I'm ready to reveal our big boards. And I'm ready to talk a little bit more about players at the top since it's been a while since we've touched upon some of these guys, and I feel like there's been a lot of storylines lately.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I want you to reveal your top 5 first.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you want me to go first.
No, give it a second.
So, if you haven't seen us reveal our big boards, we each say 5 players at a time, then talk about some of those players. So we go 1 through 5, each of us, and then we go 6 through 10, and so forth.
I'm just making sure I didn't miss anyone that's not on here. Hold on just a second.
The guy I have at 4, by the way, I was tempted to put at 7. And I'm still tempted to put him at 7. I'm sure you can guess who it is based on things, but chat, you can try and guess who I'm talking about. I think it should be pretty obvious, though.
All right. So
Jeremy Hemp Thibault for AD Vando. Yeah, they don't got AD anymore. But all right, go ahead.
All right, my top 5. I mean, Cooper Flag is number 1. In my opinion, you're crazy if you don't have Cooper Flag.
Let's just get it out of the way. I also have Cooper Flag number 1.
Yeah.
Reveal the top 5. I'll reveal mine, then we can talk about some of the players.
Dylan Harper's number 2. Ace Bailey, I still have 3. I'm guessing that might be the guy you want to move down to 7. I moved VJ up to 4, VJ Edgecombe, and then I have Yakachonis at 5.
All right. My top 5 at 1, I have Cooper Flag. At 2, I have Dylan Harper. At 3, I have VJ Edgecombe. At 4, I have Ace Bailey. At 5, I have Derek Queen. So
is Ace the guy you were thinking about moving to 7?
Yeah. Eric, it's his feel for the game on both ends that scares me. That really scares me. He can make tough shots. I also think his shot's kind of flat. I don't know if he's going to be the greatest NBA three-point shooter because his shot's kind of flat. He's also shooting 69% from the free throw line. He's shooting 36% from the college three. I don't know if he's that special of a three-point shooter. He doesn't get to the rim. His one-on-one defense is fine, but his team defense is awful. He has some terrible moments where he just gets back cut, where he just complete head in the clouds. He doesn't make anybody else better. He doesn't distribute much. It's he has all these red flags. And I just feel like part of me feels like I'm only keeping him at 4 because of how much hype he has. Because it's like he has all these red flags for me, but the upside is so tantalizing that it's hard to drop him more. Because everybody like 5, 6, 7, they all have red flags, right? And it's like, all right, so if I'm sitting there at 4, like I don't think I could pass up on him just because his best case scenario, if he fulfills his maximum ceiling, he's probably the best player from the class. He might be better than Cooper Flagg, but his floor is scary low, and I just feel like his lack of feel, his lack of ability to separate even, his lack of ability to get to the rim, his team defense, and overall the feel thing is huge for me on both ends of the floor. His overall awareness of what's going on with whether it's he's on offense, where his teammates are at, he has tunnel vision, and then defensively, the way he loses guys, I just have serious concerns about his awareness and feel for the game.
Yeah, but then, like, watched that Oregon game the other day. Like, he wasn't necessarily good in that game, but like he'll make a shot, and it's like, wow, that was an NBA level shot, and like not many players in the league could even hit those.
Yeah,
kind of
so he
shots.
makes some tough mid ranges. Should we have him at 4?
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, it's just like, wow, if he figures some of these other things out, like, he's got the tools, and at times he is a really good defender. It is frustrating watching him play, though.
Yeah. For me, it goes Cooper Flagg, tier break, and then 2A. Tier 2A is Dylan Harper. 2B is VJ Edgecombe. And then tier 3 is Bailey, Queen, and then the guys I have at 6 and 7 are all in the same tier. We'll talk about them.
What's crazy, though, is, I mean, I wouldn't call you a VJ Edgecombe hater, but you've been very harsh on him in the past, so it's kind of...
He showed me what I wanted to see. Like, he completely turned around. He started shooting the 3 ball a lot better. I think his decision-making has been a little bit better, and at the end of the day, it's like, man, I want you to produce, right? And he had a game recently, I forget which game I watched, I think it was Arizona, where, like, down the stretch, man, he just legitimately couldn't be stopped when he decided to put his head down and get to the rim. Now, I am worried about his size and how easy it will be for him to do some of the things he can do right now in college at the NBA level given his size, because I think he's 6'3" and has like a 6'6" wingspan and kind of has a smaller frame. So, but his athleticism is just so top-notch. Like, he's higher floor than Ace Bailey. He's higher floor than Derek Queen. He's higher floor than Yaku Chonis to me, just because of what he can do defensively, and he's making threes right now. At least he's like 3-and-D with, like, his athleticism gives him some extra on top of that. That's his floor. So I actually am starting to think, like, man, he has a really high floor, and then he has the upside that some of these other players do, but, like, at least he has a high floor to go with it. That's why I put him at 3.
Yeah, I agree. If outside of Harper and Flagg, if I had to make like a life decision on one player becoming a star, I would probably pick BJ at this point.
Yeah. Alex Peramo is giving me crap for putting Ace Bailey in tier 3. He says, watching a full game shows you not highlights. I guarantee you, Alex, I have watched more Rutgers games than you, unless you're a diehard Rutgers fan that has watched every game. My girlfriend's like, oh, you're watching Rutgers again? Why do you always watch Rutgers? I've watched more Rutgers than Gonzaga this year, all right? So you can miss me with that crap, my guy. Trust me. I be watching film.
Do you ever read off Colt's member message?
No, I did not. Let me read it off, and then I'll get back to this troll. Colt says, member for 2 months, says, I want Jeremy Grant sentenced to solitary confinement under the Guantanamo Bay prison for that performance, no parole. That's a little extreme, but thank you for being a channel member. Thank you for being a channel member. Alex, you're being freaking ridiculous. You don't need to watch him live to know how to scout him. Watching him live, you can watch him on TV It's the same freaking basketball game, brother. We got this dude Alex in chat saying, I went to the game last night. I watched a lot of college ball. I seen him live. Have you? That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. Just because you see a guy live once does not mean you're all of a sudden a genius on him, brother.
Also, like, it's okay if you want him high or you have him higher than Torrey. Like, that is okay to disagree.
Yeah, he says, oh, so scouts go there, don't mean anything. Okay. Bro, I'm not saying that doesn't mean something to watch a player in person. Scouts disagree on players all the time. So, like, that's the whole point, is it doesn't just immediately validate your opinion because you watched them live. Okay? Because scouts watch guys live and then make terrible draft picks because they watched a guy live and liked the way they looked. And then they don't pan out in the NBA. Scouts, front offices make mistakes all the time. So, like, at this point, I'm just going to, like, you need to miss me with that because you're being ridiculous. You're being ridiculous. If you want to talk about the red flags that I have with Ace Bailey, go ahead. Go ahead. That's the problem with people that disagree, is you're not arguing the substance. You're just saying, I saw him live. Okay, great. What about his red flags is invalid? Because I think he has all those red flags. It just depends on, is this elite shot making good enough to carry him?
And also, I mean, wow, scouts read a game for a top 5 prospect along with a teammate that's also a top 5 prospect. Like,
yeah.
There's going to be scouts at everyone.
He's saying, I love y'all. I'm just saying, I like Bailey, not Heyman. Listen, man, we have no problems with you. But if you come at me with weird stuff, I will call it out. Like, just because you watch the dude play in person does not mean anything. Like, cool, great. I've watched him all year. And I see him playing basketball all year. Like, I have questions about him. I still have him at 4. It's not like I put him down at 20. Okay, if I put him down at 20, all right, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and roast me for it. I put him at 4. But there's guys all the time that end up being busts. Where at the time, it's like, Jabari Smith was looked at as the number 1 overall pick until Paolo Banchero got taken. I had some reservations about Jabari Smith. I feel like those reservations have been proven, like, valid, given Jabari Smith early in his career. It's still early, but it's like, yeah, those are very valid reservations. So, like, Ace Bailey has a lot of flaws. He also makes a ton of tough shots. So, can those tough shots carry him? He is a very tough evaluation. So is Derek Queen, so is Jakob Jonas. Okay? Because you had Jakob Jonas at 5, Eric. I have him, I'll just say I have him at 6. We can talk a little bit about him and how he's been playing. Let's talk about, do you want to wait to talk about Derek Queen until you reveal him, or do you want to talk about him now?
I'll just say I have him at 8. So
okay, yeah, I have him at 5. People are concerned about his position and his size. If he measures 6'8" without shoes, I'll probably move him down. Okay, but if he's like legitimate 6'10", he has really long arms, so maybe his wingspan can make up for it. His feel for the game, because you can't really teach feel for the game. Like, feel for the game matters, especially offensively, especially if you're drafting somebody in the top 5. Like, all the guys that become stars, you can look back and say, like, oh yeah, those guys coming into the draft, you could tell they had really good feel for the game. Like a Luka, a Trae Young, etc. A lot of the guys that are busts, you could look back and say, yeah, they're, even as a prospect, like, their feel wasn't the best. I mean, just look at Josh Jackson, right? He was very naturally and physically talented, but feel-wise, he was a bust, right? So that's how I think that should be taken into account a lot. Derek Queen, really good feel for the game, really good footwork. Really, like, he's not a super explosive athlete, but he's bursty. Like, quick first step and just the way he can slither around guys, the way he can beat guys off the dribble. If he develops a three-point shot, I think he's going to be phenomenal offensively. He makes the right pass. He can really pass the ball. He just needs to be a center for his skill set to really be special. And he's probably never going to be a good defensive center, but the hope is you draft him and he's the next Alperen Şengün. I think he has the chance to be like an all-star offensive talent, and I really like his upside. And I think some of the things he does, if he can have enough size to play center, it would be really special for that position. That's why I have him at 5.
Draymond without the D.
No, that's not a good comparison.
I mean, until he shoots threes, it is kind of.
I mean, but he's more skilled than I think Draymond ever was offensively. I don't know. Like,
I mean, outside of shooting, Draymond's really skilled
he can
offensively.
pass, but I think ball handling wise, with like some of the shiftiness and like
Mm,
the burst and some of the footwork, creative stuff that Queen can do already, is like stuff that I'd never have seen Draymond do. So
yeah,
I don't know.
true.
Yeah, but Queen could be a bust. Like there, that's the problem with this draft is after the top three, in my opinion, you got a lot of guys that could be complete busts that have some serious red flags. Queen has some red flags. It's mostly positional size stuff, defensive stuff, but it's like people knock Şengün a lot for that. At the end of the day, it didn't really matter. So if somebody is truly special with some of the things they can do offensively, like a Queen is, I'm going to value that and hope that that leads to him being a special player.
I'm, I'm just worried he is 6'8".
Yeah. I'll probably put him right at 8 with you if he's 6'8". I might even put him lower, but it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. And then Yaku Chonis has been struggling lately. He recently had a game where he had, I forget if it was 0 or 1 assist, but had 7 turnovers, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
It's also kind of the problem. Ace Bailey has really struggled lately. Yaku Chonis has really struggled lately. Dylan Harper even has had some struggles, but he was injured. I don't think he's fully healthy, and I'm not worried about him. But Yaku Chonis...
Damon struggled ever
Yeah.
since he started playing.
Yaku Chonis, the last 5 games, 9 points on 4 for 7, 15 points on 6 for 13. Then had 31... Oh, no, I'm looking at the first 5 games of the season. I thought the most recent would be at the top. Okay. Yaku Chonis, the last 6 games, 3 of them he has 6, 7, and 8 points on 2 for 8, 2 for 8, and 2 for 3 shooting. Okay. He has 2 24-point performances in there and a 17-point performance. So he's had a couple solid games recently, but the 17-point performance, he had only 1 assist, 2 turnovers, was 5 for 15 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3. The thing is like he was really distributing the ball well at the start of the year, but if you look at the last 5 games, he has 11 assists. That's barely more than 2 assists per game, and he has 18 turnovers. 11 assists, 18 turnovers the last 5 games. Small sample, so I don't know how much to read into that. But given some of the shooting struggles he's had lately and his playmaking has been really bad lately, that's why I dropped him down from 5 to 6. I think like the athleticism and lack of explosiveness is something to worry about with him. I could see him just not being able to like really create a whole lot due to that. Now you look at a guy like Luka and people say, "Oh, look how slow Luka is," but he's like really sharp with his movements in a way that's special, and he really knows how to use his size, right? And then he's insanely skilled. Like, does Yaku Chonis have any of that at the NBA level to be able to make being a little bit slower work? I don't know. It's not like he's the slowest guy. I just don't really know how easy of a time he's going to have, like, breaking down defenses consistently. Because if we're evaluating him as a potential top 5 prospect, we're evaluating him as a potential star, and you got to hold him to that standard. And I don't know. I'm a little bit more worried about him than I was when he was destroying it earlier in the season.
Yeah, I see your point. I also sometimes I'm just like, gotta keep in mind these guys are freshmen. They're gonna have their struggles. They're gonna have
Yeah.
points in the year. Like I'm trying to think of an example. Or like um the best thing I can say is Cam Jones. Like prior to this season, like he wasn't really even on your draft radars last year, and that was his junior year, right?
Yeah.
And so like, and now this year he's like awesome and took a step. Part of that's because now he's put in a role where he can show off some of those things, and Jonas has been in that role most of the season.
Yeah.
But when you're a young player, beginning of the season, you either could have these issues because you're a freshman and you're young and just not ready yet, or you can come in and you can be kind of ready for it, and then defenses adjust. There's a lot more tape on you now. There's a lot more scouting going on. There's a lot more things being thrown at you, and you have to learn how to overcome those. So to me, it's like, okay, I like what I saw. I think his decision making and a lot of things that were earlier in the year, yes, it looks worse now, but like those are things that I don't think get worse. I think is just struggling with seeing different looks and stuff. And yes, a little bit of that might just be because you can't just use your size. You have to have some shiftiness and stuff to your game. But I when I really like some film on a player and his decision making and his passing IQ and that kind of stuff, like I tend to not overthink it when he has struggles, unless those struggles are prolonged, and then like 6 games is questionable.
I mean, he has had a turnover issue this year, though. He's averaging per game. He's averaging 4.8 assists, but 3.7 turnovers. Mm-hmm. Like that's a lot of turnovers. He has a 7 turnover game earlier this year against Tennessee. He had a 7 turnover game outside the 6-game sample earlier in the year against Maryland, right? He has many 5 and 6 turnover games this year. He is a bit turnover prone, and a lot of times it's like his turnovers feel like, oh, he's not able to completely beat somebody off the dribble, and then he struggles with the physicality and gets stuck in tough positions and makes bad mistakes. So it's like, all right, how do you fix that in the NBA if you're not the most explosive guy? I don't know. Because if it's like needing to improve his reads, I almost think that's a little bit easier than like, oh, he's struggling to beat guys off the dribble. Also, he's shooting 34% from 3. I would like to see that number be a little bit higher. Now, I don't even think we really disagree all that much because I have him at 6, you have him at 5. I'm just saying like these are some of the red flags with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So some of the things that I would be worried about and some of the things where it's like, if you didn't have these red flags, I'd maybe put him above Ace Bailey at this point. Now, you ready to go 6 through 10?
Yeah, what was the rest of your top 10?
Oh, I didn't say the rest of my top 10. And you didn't say your top 10 either.
Yeah,
6 through 10. I'll do it. So at 6, I have Yaku Jonas. At 7, I have Trey Johnson. At 8, I have Hugo Gonzalez. At 9, I have Asa Newell. At 10, I have Kaman Malawach.
All right.
We can talk about Hugo in a second.
Yeah.
After you go through yours.
All right. I have... I actually have... while we were talking, I just moved Derek Queen up to 7.
Nice.
So I have Trey Johnson 6, Queen 7. I have Asian Newell 8, and Jeremiah Fears 9 still, despite Sam Vecini and others saying that he needs to stay in college. And then I have Cam Jones 10.
Oh, wow, you're finally above me on Cam Jones.
Yeah.
I knew it was only a matter of time.
Well, it's not that this is not necessarily a Cam Jones thing moving up. It's that I moved players down, and like I didn't want to move him down. So yeah.
Yeah. So let me just say this, okay? For me, there's a clear top 7. We both have the same top 7.
Yeah.
Okay? Clear top 7. There's a big gap between Trey Johnson at 7 and Hugo Gonzalez at 8. Okay. Yeah. At 8, it becomes like 12 different guys for me. Like, I've had multiple different guys. Like, there's a dude that I have at 15 that I had at 8 that would be surprising. But, like, it's been, I don't know, a month since we've done it. I've moved around guys a lot just because I can't decide. Like, I don't know, man. I think this draft from 8 through, like, 18, 19 is very, very even. Mm-hmm. Very, very even. And it's really tough. Like, this is maybe the toughest draft to evaluate that I've ever had just because of some of the guys at the top with their red flags. And then I think there's a lot of guys that I would put roughly in the same tier. I'll just say this on Hugo. Going back, rewatching his film, he was a projected top 10 pick before the year. Going back, rewatching his film and just kind of the situation he's in at Real Madrid right now, it's like he's just in a tough situation for a young guy to get any minutes. He's playing behind a bunch of like ex-NBA players on a stacked Real Madrid team, and I feel like he's being punished for that. I feel like he's being penalized for that. I think upside, two-way upside at 6'6" with his athleticism, with, you know, I don't know if he's like a good shooter yet, but I think he has potential to maybe be a 3-level scorer. I just think he has a lot of upside that's hard to find in a wing in that range, and I just feel like he's being punished due to his situation. I think he's still going to be a lottery pick. I don't think NBA teams are going to hold that against him that much. When you look at what he did before, before this past season, he was looked at as a better player than Yegor Demin. Mm-hmm. But Yegor Demin went to BYU and has all this opportunity and has really struggled. If Demin was having those struggles at an even higher level in the EuroLeague, I think he would be far down on draft boards. Whereas if Hugo went the college route, man, I think he would be much higher on draft boards right now. So that's why I have Hugo at 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll talk more about Hugo, I guess, when I get to him on my board.
Yeah.
Who'd you have at 9 and 10?
Asa Newell, come on, Malawach.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Who'd you have 6 through 10 again?
I have Trey Johnson 6, Derek Queen 7, Asa Newell 8, yeah. Jeremiah Fears 9, and Cam Jones 10.
Okay. We can talk about Cam Jones. He's in my next 5. Newell, do you have any worries that he's a tweener?
A little bit. Yeah, he's a little small. I don't know if the hair is just propping him up a little bit, but
kind of is.
Yeah, I just, like energy bigs that just, I don't know. I think he's in a tier that's like, there's a lot of players that I like, man, this guy could be really good or he could be complete bust, like he's like a guy like I know can do some things, like even if he's a tweener, he's still gonna find a way to show some impact and I think stick around as like a bench big or something. So like I know it's not like like I still think he has upside, which is why he's up here for me. But I do see like he could just be like an average guy because he's not big enough. Mm-hmm. But like I don't know, just energy guys with motors, like almost like everyone we've identified in the last few years has ended up being good, right? And he plays a lot like a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
So.
Was it because we only remembered the good guys and don't remember the ones that don't pan out? Like,
I'm just talking strictly the like centers that are like energy bigs.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like raw prospect.
If I was fully 100% confident in his ability to be the center, I'd be like right there. My only worry is like maybe he's a little small for a center, and that makes things tougher on him if he can't round out the skill. I think he might be able to play both power forward and center very effectively. I also think there's a chance that he's a tweener and has problems in both positions, so he's just an interesting case for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trey Johnson. Where'd you have Trey Johnson again?
6.
Okay, Adam at 7. Dude, I don't know. His jump shooting, his shot making is so special. He's super productive. I think he's a better passer than he's shown at Texas. I feel like at Texas it's just like he needs to go score 20 a game. He has to. Because there's moments where he'll make a really nice pass where it's like, yeah, I think, like the flashes of his playmaking give me some hope. I wish Ace Bailey was showing some of the flashes of him making like a quick, good read on a drive. I think Trey Johnson actually has some similarities to Ace Bailey in the fact that they're jumper dependent, but I think his feel for the game is maybe a little bit better. And that's why it's like, I can see myself putting Trey Johnson over Ace Bailey. But given the fact that Trey Johnson is 6'6" and he's shorter and he has problems turning the corner on drives and getting into the paint, I just don't know how much that's going to affect him, so that's a worry of mine. And that's like a big red flag, potentially. Like I said, every prospect in that range, 4 through 7 for me, has like some serious, legitimate red flags. And that's his, is just like inability to get to the rim.
Yeah, with players that can shoot the ball, or that maybe their percentages aren't great, but like it just seems like they're an NBA shooter. I tend to wonder, will some of that improve with the spacing? I say that with Ace Bailey too. So your ability to knock down a shot, catch and shoot threes, and then if you learn how to attack closeouts, can you use that to get by players? And with his mid-range and shooting ability,
but then that's all like in the flow, not like lead guard creator.
Right.
And I feel like we do the whole spacing excuse a little too much with college prospects. I feel like with Trey Johnson, there's multiple times where like he has enough space to beat his guy one-on-one and he doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I know like that was a big thing for Jabari Smith too back in the day. It was like, oh, he doesn't have the best spacing on that Auburn team, but it's still like a legitimate issue.
Well, see, the thing with Jabari though is, I mean, he just ended up I don't think he shot the 3 ball well enough though to like make it work. So like
he's also just like kind of stiff and not the quickest first step and tightest handle. Like those are issues that lead to that.
But he should be a better shooter than he is, which is still puzzling to me. And so yeah, that's what I've struggled with.
Yeah, I forget what he shot in college. Do you remember what he shot in college?
I think it was 40%, if I'm not mistaken, from 3.
Yeah, it was 42% and 80% for the free throw line. So, yeah.
And his shot looked like it was like capable of easily being NBA range.
And if I said I had Jabari Smith in my 3rd tier and potentially might move him down to 7, would have also had people acting like I was crazy, right? But in a redraft, that's probably where he goes. So that's the thing is it happens.
He's shooting career 33.8%. He's at 35.4 this year.
Some guys just struggle to stretch it out to that NBA 3-point line. So that's one of the things with like Ace. He's shooting 36%, 69% for the free throw line. His shot's kind of flat. Like, could he be Jabari Smith like in that way? And then it's a real problem. Because then he's just reliant upon contested mid-range jumpers. Mm-hmm. If that's how Ace Bailey is gonna go, like he might not be any good.
Jabari's got like that such easy high release though. Like I don't know, I don't see why it does. Like, it still baffles me why it doesn't.
Yeah,
didn't translate more. But he's shooting almost 87% from the free throw line this year.
It's interesting, man. I think Trey Johnson's shot will translate. I think like. If you're really high on Trey Johnson, it's probably because you think he can be a really good lead creator. I actually think, like, playmaking-wise, he has that potential. I just, like, he has a very slight frame. Like, I don't know how much muscle he can put on, so I don't think he's going to be able to bully his way to the rim. And then I don't think he has the greatest first step or quickness. So I just don't know if he's going to be able to, like, actually put pressure on the rim and, like, collapse defenses and make plays consistently enough to be a lead guard. That's my worry with him. Because I really want to put him, like, 4. I really want to put him in the Edgecombe tier just because his shooting is so special. I just can't get past that. So. All right. Anybody else that you wanted to talk about that we've mentioned?
Not yet.
All right. The guy I have at number 11, by the way, you're going to say your top 5 first. The guy I have at number 11 is maybe my boldest player on my big board and also my new sleeper. Okay, so
This is the guy that you
This is the guy.
Okay, at 11, okay.
Yeah, I might say him last. I might go 12 through 15 and then say him last. That's probably what I'll do. No, that's what I'll do. You say 11 through 15, then I'll go with mine.
Malawak at 11, Colin Murray Boyles at 12, Yegor Demon 13, Boogie Flan to move down to 14. Maybe that's just not seeing him for a while, but And then I have Nolan Traore at 15.
Alrighty. I'm excited for this, man.
All right.
Who you sleeping with now? Tory sleepers. All right. So I'm going to say 11 last. All right. At 12, I have Cam Jones. At 13, I have Yegor Demon. At 14, I have Carter Bryant. At 15, I have Jace Richardson. Jace Richardson was a guy that I recently had in my top 10. I like Jace Richardson a lot. Carter Bryant, I love his upside. But at 11, I have Magoon Gwath. That's my sleeper.
Dude. You know when you were having me guess earlier?
Yeah.
His name popped into my mind.
Did it?
And I was like...
Because I told Eric, I'm like, this is an Eric-type guy, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you said that.
So, all right, let's just talk about that. Okay, Magoon Gwath plays for San Diego State, is listed as 7 feet tall. He's shooting 2 threes a game at 37%. Shot looks legit. He has flashes of putting the ball on the floor and making plays. But his length, defensive instincts, he moves well. I think he could be a really special defensive player where he doesn't have to rely upon being able to do stuff off the dribble. He averages 2.7 blocks per game in 26 minutes per game. He looks like he can be a phenomenal shot blocking center. He's needs to put on a lot of weight. He might not come out of the draft this year because his game's so low raw, but I could see him being a sophomore breakout. But shot blocking looks very special, but also he's mobile enough to maybe switch out and guard on the perimeter. So if you take that and you got a guy that can make threes, and then also he kind of moves like a wing and has had a couple impressive moments putting the ball on the floor. If you tap into that, you could have a diamond in the rough. I think the right team could really develop that. And at bare minimum, he's maybe just a 3-and-D rim protecting mobile center, which is very valuable in the NBA. So that's why he's my sleeper.
Interesting. Yeah. Nice. I like it.
Yeah. That's my guy. I just feel like it's a you guy because I feel like you like big men that move the way he does.
Yeah.
And shows the flashes of stuff that he does.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, how much have you watched him or how familiar are you with him?
I mean, I've watched him a few times because I've watched
Miles Bird,
obviously. So yeah, he stood out in the things I've watched. But yeah, I obviously don't like him enough to put him at 11. But
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think here is, you're looking for guys with upside. For me, I'm looking for guys with high floor with upside. Mm-hmm. I feel like his upside is I feel like he has a ton of upside if he can be a guy that can knock down threes, move the way he does, 7 feet tall, put the ball on the floor, right? But it's a little theoretical. I like his defense, and maybe he's just a spot-up shooting ability as his floor. Because shooting a legitimate 37% from three right now, only 65% from the free throw line, but I forget what his story was, but I don't think he had any offers and hadn't played much in high school. And yeah, he had a really cool backstory. I don't remember the details, so if you're interested, you can look it up. But he's a fun player for sure. He might be a second-year breakout type guy though.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Who else did we both mention in that tier? Cam Jones.
Demon.
Yeah, where'd you have Demon?
13.
I had him at 13 as well. I just think his size with his passing feel, with the potential. I don't think his form is that bad shooting wise. He just hasn't made shots. I just think that upside is very interesting and tantalizing. So that's why I still have him at 13. I just feel like it's going to take a lot of work to be able to get him to be able to deal with NBA level athleticism and physicality.
Yeah.
Cam Jones, you want to talk on him?
I mean, we've talked a lot about him in the past.
Yeah. You moved him up though, so.
Well, like I said, I only moved him up because I moved guys like Demon down a few spots, Boogie Flan down. So yeah, he just moved up 2 spots by default. Basically, nothing that he's done has made a move up or down on my board. Just kind of
Yeah.
it's been really steady.
I think he would be seen as a lottery pick by a lot more people if he was shooting what he shot from three last year this year. Because he shot 40.6% from three last year. He's 31.5 this year. His free throw percentage for his career, 68%. Not the best, but career 37% three-point shooter. I'm not going to read too much into his three-point shot. I think with the playmaking jump he showed this year, ability to score from all three levels, I think he's another one of those high floor, high ceiling guys. Sneaky ceiling guys. Because like the way he's making plays for others and then some of the craftiness, the moves he makes, like I could see him being a really lethal offensive player at the next level. How lethal? I don't know. But we've seen some four-year guys be slept on because of their age, and in hindsight, it's like, oh yeah, that player was really good coming into the league and could do all this stuff. Why didn't we have him higher? And I feel like that could be Cam Jones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And then we can. Who else did you name? My three that you didn't have: Carter Bryant, Jace Richardson, Magungwath, and you had who?
I had Flan, Traore, and Colin Murray Boyles.
Got you. Okay, I'll get to. We'll talk to those guys when I say them.
Okay.
If you want to talk about any of them. My 16 through 20. 16, I have Jeremiah Fears. We should talk about him after this. 17, I have Rasheer Fleming. 18, I have Noah Sengwe. I don't know how to say his last name. 19, I have Maxime Reynaud. And 20, I have Con Knipple.
All right. I have Ben Seraph at 16. Carter Bryant, 17.
Let's go. Join the Bryant bandwagon.
18, Hugo Gonzalez. 19, Rasheer Fleming. And 20, Noah Sengwe.
Nice. You said you'd talk about Hugo once you got to him, so let's start there.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you don't have a lot of recent tape to go off of. So, just like you kind of have been trying to want more, and I'm the kind of guy.
A little bit of PT.
Yeah, I'm the kind of guy who likes to watch like full games and stuff, but it sucks when you're watching like an international player that's a reserve and not starting all the time or whatever, and so you don't get as much of it. Like it's kind of pointless to watch a game, so it's better. Some guys it is better to watch highlights, I guess, but I want to move him back up. I don't know. He's really good. It's just part of me is just like he's being hidden a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's starting to play a little more, so it helps. But
my question is is it better to not have much recent tape or for the recent tape to be much worse? Because that's how I feel like it is with Traore.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Traore's. I don't know, man. It's
tough. This draft is such a tough evaluation, man. Because the guys like that.
Because there was a point where we were like, Traore could contend for the number one pick, right?
Yeah. Well, not for the number one pick, but number two, definitely.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking he could enter the Ace Cooper. That was still when it was Ace and Cooper, he was that good in the Hoop Summit game and just around that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard for me to think that that's not still there. He did that against Cooper Flag and Ace Bailey and those kind of guys, Dylan Harper, right? He played against those guys in that game. So, it's tough for me to still having seen that and knowing what he's capable of, to watch him struggle. It's been frustrating, but I mean, he is playing in a much tougher situation than typically college would be, but I don't know, man. That's not an excuse. I still believe that he's got something. It's kind of like when Jalen Suggs went to the NBA and struggled. Like it's like, dude, this guy's got to figure it out eventually, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Jalen Suggs though defensively like was his calling
Oh, for
card,
sure.
and then
Yeah,
like a little bigger, a little more athletic, like. So I don't know. I with Hugo, to me, it's like the last month he's actually worked his way into some rotation minutes. Like he has multiple games between like 10 and 20 minutes. He's a 29-minute game. Like he's started a couple games. To me, him playing his way into the rotation on that stacked Real Madrid team, like, says something to me.
right.
Because it's like I look at that and it's like, man, could Traore do that? Could Traore play his way into the rotation? Of course, we're projecting long term, so it's not just that. It's just given some of the tape before and him playing his way into that rotation and like having some decent games. It's why I'm back up to top 10 for him. I just think he's going to go higher than people realize at the end of the day. So, and then fears. I think he should go back for a second year. I think if he goes back for a second year, he could play his way into being like a top 6 or 7 pick next year. I think he could maybe still be that, but he's averaging as many turnovers as assists, okay? And he's shooting 28% from 3. And he has had some games recently where he's kind of disappeared or just been very inefficient. He has a lot of upside that I like. I just wonder, man, is he just going to be this guy that comes into the league and then like can't make threes, so guys play off him a little bit, and then he can't really create because of that, and then he's not the best playmaker. You know what I mean? Like, I could see him really being a bust, but I could see him just with some of the way he moves. Like, if he can improve his playmaking, improve his three-point shooting, I think that's a huge difference for him where he has some upside. So he's a tough evaluation too. I kind of want him to go back to school because I think if he can go back to school and prove that he can shoot the 3-ball better and be a better playmaker, that would do wonders for his draft stock. And like, he wasn't even supposed to be in college. He like moved up a year, so he should be a high school senior right now. So it's like, you know, you take that context into account, but also it's like, all right, man, if you went back to college and proved that you could improve those things, then it would give me, if I'm drafting somebody, a lot more faith in his ability to round out those areas of his game and potentially be really special, whereas right now they're red flags for me for sure.
Yeah, can't argue with any of that.
And then who else did you? Because I'm blanking. Rasheer Fleming, we both mentioned him. You want to speak on him?
Yeah, I mean, just good defender with size, shown the ability to hit the three. I think obviously 3-and-D, bankable skill set in the NBA. Hasn't really, at least in the games I've seen recently, the reason why he's not higher for me is he's not the kind of guy you like get the ball and he gets a bucket for you in a lot of
Yeah.
cases. So if he was that, I think he'd be in the top 10.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, 3-and-D type player.
Shooting 43% from 3 is crazy.
Yeah,
Athletic
really good.
too.
Yeah, really good size, good
Yeah.
rebounder, everything you want. Just doesn't necessarily have that creation skill. Now maybe that's something that he could develop, but I know for a fact you could sit him up in the corners. He's gonna hit a good percentage of threes, and then he's gonna play good defense and has the size and length to be a factor on that end. So yeah, just I think he's almost one of the safest players in this draft, and that's not necessarily people are going to take that as a bad thing, but like I'm pretty confident he's at least a low-end rotation player in the NBA.
For me, like the rest of his eval, the rest of the year is just going to be like, does he have any off the dribble potential that like it could really be tapped into? Where he's one of these guys where we look at him as a role player coming into the league, but then he develops into a star. Because we've seen guys like that in this type of mold before, where they didn't show much creation in college. We're like, oh, 3-and-D guy coming into the league, and then they become really, really good off the dribble, like Chris Middleton is an example, right? Jimmy Butler even, like he played at a junior college, then was the 30th pick, right, and developed his off the dribble game. So it's just, does he have any of that potential? I don't know, but I do think he's like one of the highest floor players in this draft, and for me, he's kind of the start of my more role player tier. Yeah. Like at 17, the guys I had before him, Dedmon, Carter Bryant, Jace Richardson, Jeremiah Fears, and then Rasheer Fleming. That's where it kind of starts valuing role players for me.
Yeah, I watched. I forgot who they were playing, but it was a close game at the end, and he like barely touched the ball on offense. I'm like, give the ball to this guy. Like, what the heck?
Why wouldn't you? You're St. Joe's.
I don't want to watch these scrubs shoot themselves in this game. Like, come on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, where'd you have Asengu? You haven't set him yet?
I'm at 20.
Oh, at 20. Wow, I have him higher than you. That's a surprise. Yeah, I moved him up a little bit. I just wonder, is like he going to be that guy that doesn't do anything well enough to stick?
Yeah.
That's my worry. And his frame is so slight. It's like if he could put on muscle with the way he moves, then he could really wreak havoc on drives. And then like 3-point shooting is just not enough volume for me right now that really trusts his 3-point shooting. And he shows like flashes of stuff, but I just don't know if there's enough substance there for me. He's like high upside because theoretically, with some of the flashes he's shown, he can be somebody that can attack the rim, decel finish, Euro step, use his size to finish at the rim. If you can put on muscle, that'll make that even easier. Make threes and then make the right pass and play some defense. And theoretically, that's a lot of upside. It's just one of those guys where it's like, kind of feels a little bit like a trap to me where it's too theoretical with him, where it's just not enough, where it's just too much, just like a flash here and there with him. He's a tough eval. He's a tough eval for me because I just don't know if he's going to be able to hang his hat on any one particular thing. And then if that's the case, I don't know exactly what role teams will use him in.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't argue with any of that either.
Nice. We're agreeing a lot. And then, is there anybody else that I said? I had Fears, Fleming, Noah, Reynaud, and Con Knipple.
We'll just get to those guys.
Okay, is there any that you said that you want to talk about?
Carter Bryant, watched a little more closely. Saw that Arizona game you talked about. Saw another one. There was a game they ended up losing, but he had a big three at the end and a putback lane or dunk or something towards the end. Much like Fleming, he just a wing with size, can shoot a little bit. And,
athletic.
Yeah, but he's younger than Fleming, so maybe there is some potential to be that. To expand his game a little bit, but I was really impressed with just his ability to make plays in a close game and stuff like that as a freshman who hadn't seen like a ton of consistent minutes all year. So the fact that he's in there at the end making big plays, and you mentioned his athletic ability and all that kind of stuff before. So yeah, just really starting to be impressed by him.
Yeah, something to me just feels like we aren't even scratching the surface yet with him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He's just, if he was on a worse team, I feel like he could potentially be showing a lot more. And in that game I was talking about, like, he had a really nice pass. I remember really being impressed with like a pass that he made, just the vision on it. Like, I think he's skilled. He just doesn't have a lot of responsibility. He's used as a role player, but like he plays that role very well. So it's like, all right, I could see him pretty easily being a 3-and-D guy. He's been shooting the three ball really well in Big 12 play, I believe is what they were saying. And defensively, size, moves well, athlete. Like, all right, for a guy that's like a raw freshman, that's a higher floor than some other guys, I think. And I just feel like there might be a creation and playmaking element there that has yet to be tapped into. So he's a fun prospect, and he's the type of upside swing that if the Blazers got another first-round pick, that's like with your second first-round pick on a rebuilding team, that's the type of guy you take.
Yeah.
You just take a chance.
Or if it up like 12th or something, maybe you start to consider it.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating to see where his draft stock ends up at the end of the year and to see if he gets more minutes. All right. You want to go 21 through 25?
All right, yeah. 21, I have Liam McNeely. 22, the Con Knipple. 23, Andrei Stojakovic. 24, Danny Wolf. Have you said Danny Wolf yet?
No. I'm about to.
Wow.
I'm about to say three of the names, or two of the names that you just said.
Yeah. And then I'm going to save 25 for after you list yours.
Oh, is that your guy?
This is my guy.
Yeah. Okay. So I really like the top 22 to 23 right now. All right. Like, I think I have Liam McNeely 21, Danny Wolf 22, Boogie Flan 23, LeBaron Filan 24, Will Riley 25. He's been playing better lately. Somebody said, like, oh, do you agree with me? You're down on Knipple. I'm not even down on Knipple. I just like a lot of the guys that I have ahead of him. I think Knipple would be a steal at 20. I think, you're in a really good spot if you're picking, like, 18 to 22 in this draft. I really like Danny Wolf as well. I have him at 22, right? This is the tough part with this draft is, like, 8 through 22, to me, is almost like the same tier of guys where I have all these guys rated pretty similarly, like very similarly, from Hugo, Newell, even Malua, all the way down to Knipple, McNeely, Danny Wolf. I just think Knipple and McNeely don't have like some of the upside that a lot of the guys above them have, so that's why I have them at 20 and 21. But I think if you're a team trying to win and you need a shooter off the bench that can play right away, with a little bit of maybe sneaky upside down the line, you're thrilled to get a guy like Knipple or McNeely. Wolf, 22. I've talked about him a lot. All right. So the guy at 25, Eric, who is he?
It's my guy Bennett Sturts from Drake.
Oh, Bennett Sturts. Got you. I need to watch more of him. I know that he's been popping up on some boards.
Yeah. So, there's been some people have been listing some crazy queries on him. The only other player that popped up was Fred VanVleet at Wichita State. The other was Tyrese Halliburton. This guy is really good at driving. And I don't know if this stat has changed since this is from a week ago, so he's played 2 games since, I think. 79 drives this season that ended a possession, has only turned it over on 2 of them. So he doesn't turn the ball over at all. Can score on all 3 levels. Is a really crafty, has some insane high-level passes, and I just recently started watching a bunch of Drake games for some reason, or not for some reason, for this reason, and this guy,
he is game, dude. Yeah,
he's not, like I said, it's not a guy that I typically would have this high, it's not one of an Eric type guy, but you've been talking a lot about movement the last couple of years. I love the way he moves, especially on offense. And I just think the guy can play, and when you put him around an NBA team with good players and stuff, I just think he could shine in that scenario.
Yeah. Mar says, I still think Will Riley's going to surprise. Yeah, we'll talk about him in a little bit. He's been playing better. I need to look into him more because I've seen some stuff. Statistically, he's very impressive. I mean, 19 points, 6 assists, over 2 steals, 50% from the field, including 56% from 2, 38% from 3, right? So he's very efficient. This is his first year Division I basketball. But he's the type of guy, if you're not paying enough attention, you probably have never heard of him. But he is starting to pop up on a lot of boards. I know Hoop Intellect had him, mid to late second round. And there's always these guys that you don't hear of, and then they end up being a guy that at the end of the year should have went in the first round. Like Austin Reeves was one of those guys for me, where he went undrafted, but I loved Austin Reeves as a first round caliber talent. A big reason why was because I saw a game of his against Gonzaga where like some of the dribble moves, the deceleration, the shiftiness was like, oh my goodness. Like some of the insanely tough finishes was just like very impressive. He was 30% from three though. He became a good 3-point shooter. All the shiftiness, creation stuff still has and was a steal, right? So there's always these guys, man. There's always these guys. He's intriguing because of how productive he's been. Drake is a tournament caliber team.
And he's like 6'4", 6'5".
They're good. Yeah, so he's listed as 6'4". I know he definitely has his fans, and I just frankly need to watch a little bit more of him. So I don't actually have him on my big board, but it's not because I don't think he should be in the top 60 necessarily. It's just like one of the guys that I need to get to.
Nice.
So I respect it. Nice. See, I would have never have guessed.
That's why I said you would never guess it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got an Eric guy, you got a Tory guy. I love it. I love it. Let's go. And then, do you want to talk about any of the other guys? I finally said Boogie Fland. All right, so we can talk about him. McNeely, Knipple, Danny Wolf. All guys we recently said.
McNeely and Knipple we talked a ton about.
They're kind of similar.
They're just, I don't.
It feels like I have them both too low. I just am.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you take them too much higher than this range, you're kind of setting yourself up to be disappointed. But if, like you said, if they fall to this range, then you're getting a steal. So there's I don't know.
I'll put it this way: I think they'll both be top 15 players from this class, but I have them at 20 and 21.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because I'd rather take a swing in the lottery on some upside. I think the right team should take them potentially as high as 10-ish. Actually, as high as 8, Eric. Because as I said, I have a lot of those teams in the same tier. I think the right situation, I would be completely fine with a team taking McNeely or Knipple at 8 or 9. It's very even for me. So it's not even like I have anything against those guys. It does feel too low for me having them at 20 and 21.
Mm-hmm.
This draft is fun for that reason, though. And every draft is different just because of that reason. Alex Paramo was saying what? You said 25, ha 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 ha. Eric having Sturts at 25, just kind of rude, man. I don't really understand why you're laughing at that like that. I think it's always fun to hit on sleepers, and there's always guys that get slept on. So just because you have a guy that's slept on doesn't. I respect it.
I don't know if he was necessarily laughing at that. It might have been.
He said that was before he said that. I thought he was mocking you, laughing at having Sturts at 25. I respect it. So apologies if I misinterpreted. I don't know exactly when you said that, brother. So I just know you were being like that earlier about Ace Bailey. So Boogie Fland sucks. He's not going to play the rest of the year. Small guard. He might go back to school. I wouldn't mind if he went back to school. I feel like I would have him higher if he wasn't hurt. It's just with that top 22, that range 8 to 22, he just falls to the back end of that just because I haven't been able to see him lately.
Yeah, exactly.
Where'd you have him again?
I think I was 12 or something.
Yeah.
But he was higher for me. But
yeah,
I think it's just higher for you for a while, too.
Yeah. The lack of being able to get to the rim and finish. He's shooting 41% from 2. It's worrisome. He can pass. He can play some defense. He's just a small guard. Yeah, I would like to see him go back to school. Elizabeth said he said that before he said the name. I didn't get what he said it for, though, either. Yeah, I didn't really understand what the other context was. So, all right, let's move on to 26 through 30. Is it my turn to go first?
Yes.
All right. This is an interesting range. 26, I have Miles Bird. 27, I have Sergio De La Rey. 28, I have Nolan Traore. 29, I have Colin Murray Boyles. 30, I have Noah Penda.
All right. Mine is Maxime Reynaud at 26. 27, I got Yaxel Lendenborg.
Yaxel.
28, I have Isaiah Evans. 29, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but Joan Beringer,
Yeah.
I heard say. And then 30, I have Jace Richardson.
All right, you had Isaiah Evans at 28?
Yeah. 45% three-point shooter. Just.
Yeah. That's like.
That's all he does. Yeah, but
yeah.
At this point, I'm just, it's loaded Duke team. You never know what else they could do.
Yeah, for me, it's like his defense is really bad. Like that's why he doesn't play more. That's why you got a dude that's 6'6", shooting 45% from three, only plays 13 minutes a game. Yes, it's a loaded team, but also his defense is brutal. Also, he doesn't create or pass. Per 40 minutes, he shoots 12 threes and only 2 twos. You know what I mean? So, I think if he goes back to school and rounds out and gets more opportunity and rounds out his game, he has the potential to be a top 10 pick in a future draft. Like, he has that much potential with his size shooting ability. It moves pretty well. I believe I moved him completely outside of my top 60. I was intrigued by, size plus the shooting earlier. It's just almost like I don't think he should come out in this draft. Therefore, I don't have him on my board. He's maybe the number one guy where it's talent-wise and upside-wise, he's definitely probably a top 45 guy for me. I want him to go back to school. If he can't get the opportunity at Duke, he should transfer and raise his stock and round out those other areas of his game. I think college would be perfect for him being able to round out those other areas of his game.
Yeah.
So, but 45% shooter at 6'6", 6'7", and 19 years old, that's very intriguing. So, I'm with it. Colin Murray Boyles. Where'd you have him?
I'm 11 or something. 12 or 11. I think.
Yeah, this feels too low. I just don't really know what his role is.
Yeah, I'm 12.
He's not a 3-point shooter. He's 6'7". He's not a center.
Yeah, more traditional power forward.
I've always said a 6'7", 6'8". He's more athletic than the guys I normally say this about, but I've always said 6'7", 6'8" guy that can't shoot, that doesn't have an outlier trait. Those guys, a lot of them tend to be busts. A lot of them I apply they don't have athleticism, right? That's also a thing. The thing is CMB is pretty athletic, so it's what can you make work there? Also, 28% from three. I don't know. I go back and forth on where to put him. I had him at 15 a week ago. You know what I mean? With some of the guys I like, some of the guys I looked into, he fell down my board. He might be a guy that I revisit and move back up. I just don't really know what his role is, so he's tough for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's shot 25 threes all year, so it's it could be two of those. He's a 35% shooter.
I mean, but that's the problem is he doesn't shoot.
Yeah.
So that's also an issue, So
I just
and he's also 67% free throw, so it's not like he's lighting it up there.
Every time I think you are maybe he just doesn't is too much of a traditional power forward to survive in today's NBA. Just he'll have a game or moments in a game that is wow, that's NBA level move right there. And so I just see the production and stuff, and I'm I don't know, maybe another just not star player but serviceable player. So I understand not having him as high as consensus, but
the thing that trips me up is I think there's a couple of guys, one in particular on the top of my head, I'm not going to say yet because we haven't said his name, but like is being just as productive as a sophomore at the same position with some of the same question marks, and we look at him as a second-round pick.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess who I'm talking about? I'll let you know if you get it right. Otherwise, I'll save it.
A sophomore. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I'll save it. Who else have we not touched upon that maybe you listed? What was your 26 to 30 again? Remind me.
I had Renaud, just smart.
Yeah, I had him at 19.
Center, good skill set for a big man.
Moves well, 7'1", has potential to pass, shoot, like maybe protect the rim a little bit. He's not great there, but size and movement, right? So yeah.
I'm guessing you're gonna get to Yoxel soon. Just another wing with good size that can score a little bit. And then you kind of talked about Jason Richardson a little bit. But I had Joan Berenger at 29.
Yeah, I haven't looked enough into him. I don't have him on my board.
The only concern I have about him is the same thing you were asking me about with Asian Newell.
Yeah.
Has he really grown to 6'11", or is he still like 6'9"? And but just movement wise, he's just seems like he's going to be one of those energy rim running bigs, like I said, that usually pan out. Good quick jump, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just kind of interested to see his exact size measurements, but if they're center-ish size, I'd probably move him up higher than I have him right now.
Yeah, I need to look more into him. And then De La Rey, I assume you have him somewhere in the second round, so we can wait there. Although we talked about him recently. Miles Bird, did you have him in your first round?
No, he's in my second round.
He has a lot of fans that like view him as a lottery talent. He should be a really good defender. 6'7", moves well. Percentages aren't great. 39% from the field, 33% from three, but he does shoot 83% from the free throw line. I think he can become a solid shooter. He has flashes of playmaking. Also, like the way he moves off the dribble. Like he's just sharp mover, hits some creative shots. So I just view him as like a good defender that's an offensive project, but has some upside there in different areas that if he hits could end up being a really, really good player.
Mm-hmm.
I just think like he's raw offensively, so that's why I don't have him higher. And then, yeah, I mean, there's really nobody else. Traore just has not played well. I'm going to value guys that are producing somewhat or just are being held back, and he's just struggling. So that's why I have him at 28. And then we can wait. You have Penda in your top 60?
Yeah.
Okay, we can wait on him then. All right, 31 to 35. By the way, the guy at 34 is the guy I was talking about as that example of a guy. So I'll let you go first, though.
All right, I got Xavier Lee 31, Joseph Saden 32, Ian Jackson 33, Zvonimir Ivicic, despite his horrible game the other day, 34, and then Sergio De La Rey at 35.
Alrighty, I have Adu Thiero at 31. I have Ben Serif 32. I'm a known Ben Serif doubter. Yeah. Neat Clifford 33. JT Toppin at 34. And Thomas Sorber at 35. Somehow I ended up having Sorber higher than you. which is
I'm
baffling.
36,
Still, though, it's still baffling because I'm a
Yeah.
known Sorber hater because some people view him as like a lottery guy, and I don't get it. So we can talk about him in a second. But JT Toppin is like the sophomore power forward, a little bit bigger than CMB, just as productive, has the question marks about the 3-point shot, and it's like he had a 41-point game recently, Eric. He's averaging 17 points per game, 9 rebounds on a good Texas Tech team. He's shot 34% from 3 last year, 31% from 3 this year. Like, is it just the athleticism why CMB is better? I just don't really know, like, comparing these guys. Like, I think they're kind of similar, but a lot of people have CMB much higher.
Yeah. Yeah, I have Toppin, right? I have him just outside my top 60.
Have you revisited him since he's been going off?
Nah, I think
Yeah.
that's part of the problem. Yeah, I just haven't watched a recent game of his.
Yeah, I would revisit some of the games where he went off because I just can't like keep him away from borderline first round with how he's producing and
Yeah.
the size, and he does have maybe potential to be an okay shooter and then like just productive. He's like not a fun, flashy prospect, but he gets the job done. So, because I had him, I think outside my top 60, and then it's like, yeah, I just feel like I'm docking him for not being flashy or fun enough. So he's productive. But yeah, he versus CMB is interesting. Is an interesting debate. Sorber, so we're kind of aligned on him. I just don't really understand how he's a first round prospect because I feel like he is the definition of a tweener big man. Now, the reason why I have him not like 45 or 50 is apparently he has a really long wingspan. Measurements are going to be super important for him. He's just like, I feel like people view him as like, oh, he has this offensive upside because like he can pass a little bit. 2.4 assists, 2.3 turnovers. He's a freshman. Big men. I'm not going to worry about turnovers. So, like, passing flashes, okay, sure. Defensive flashes, like, he averages 2 blocks, 1.5 steals. It's just, like, I could see him struggling to defend centers, at least big centers. And then at the 4, like, I don't really know if his offensive skill set is special at that position. I just don't really see, like, how he translates positionally to the NBA.
Yeah. I do like watching him play, though. His skill set is intriguing.
Yeah. Like if he's like a 7'5" wingspan and 6'10", I'm moving him into the first round because then it's like, oh yeah, I see it. Center, passing flashes, but it's just like he's shooting 16% from 3, and he actually shoots 1.5 a game. So 16%. He on the season is 6 for 37 from 3. So it's not good. And then De La Rey, because I don't think last big board we revealed you still needed to watch him. So what are your thoughts on him?
There are several players that are in that size range that can handle the ball a little bit, pass a little bit. Yeah, I do still feel like I need to watch a little more, but yeah, I mean he's got the type of size and skills that could lead to you seeing him being one of the steals of the draft.
Yeah.
Depending on where he goes.
Yep. Seraph, I don't really view him as a point guard like other people. The shot is a problem. Defensively, I think I don't know. I think he'll struggle a little bit to defend quicker guards. I just don't really know what his role is either. Seraph just confuses me because a lot of people really like him. So I have him at 32. Neat Clifford, 33. I think he'll end up being a good role player. I just don't think he'll be much more. But he has been playmaking a little better this year. Can shoot, play defense, make a play. I think if he ends up on a team like Boston, he'll be like one of those guys where it's like, how did we let Boston get him? So that's everybody 31 to 35 that I wanted to talk about. Anybody that you want to talk about? We're waiting on Penda until you list them.
Yeah. No, I really need to get this moving a little bit more.
Yeah, all right. Let's do it. So my turn, 36, I have Walter Clayton. 37, Xavier Lee. 38, Tahad Pettiford. 39, Ian Jackson. And 40, I have Alex Condon. Okay, so 36 through 39 is all scoring offensive-minded guards. I really like Walter Clayton. Tahad Pettiford has been getting some buzz. I kind of agree with him as like a second-round, sixth-man scoring guard type of shot. Same thing with Ian Jackson, Xavier Lee. What's your 36 through 40?
All right, I have
Sorber 36.
Yeah, Sorber 36. LeBaron Philon 37, Miles Bird 38, Noah Penda 39, Hunter Salas 40.
All right. Do you want to touch on any of those other than Penda?
I mean, we already talked about Bird and Sorber a little bit. Philon, just a defensive guard right now. Could he get some offensive upside? Hopefully, Hunter Salas. Just still think he's a decent enough player to find a role in the NBA, and you're just looking for potentially rotation players at this part of the draft. So,
yeah, Penda, he's kind of thick, like he's kind of bulky, but he moves decently. Has some really impressive defensive tape. And
awesome on defense.
His shot is a little weird, but it goes in enough.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he's going to be purely 3-and-D, like might be able to attack a closeout. He probably should be a little bit higher than I have him. Actually, I'm going to move him up to above Troy Ori and call him Marie Royals. He's at 28 for me now.
His offense is still a work in progress. Otherwise, he'd be a lot higher. But defensive upside is legit.
Yeah, I feel like if there's a Camara in this draft, it might be him.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, I feel like he has truly special defensive upside. So if he can just make threes, like that's enough to have him as a back end first round guy for me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then if you want. Do you have Walter Clayton in your top 60?
Yeah, I have him. Let's see, where do I have him? I have him at 50 right now.
I just could see him being an electric six-man scoring guard. He shoots deep threes, hits deep threes on volume, crafty creator. He's listed as 6'2". He's a 6'2" shooting guard. That's the issue, but the NBA is going a little bit smaller. I think he can be like somebody that fills it up in bunches and could be a good six-man scoring guard. Like I think he's a little bit more than just a small G League scoring guard. Just because of the way he can shoot.
Yeah.
Xavier Lee we've talked about a lot before. We can move on since I know you're trying to speed it up. All right, 41 through 45 for you.
All right, 41, I have someone we have never talked about, and that's Johan Grunlow.
Oh, yeah, Grunlow.
Have you looked into it a little bit?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Intriguing size and shooting ability. I just been
Defense
a little...
worries me with him.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But, you're looking for that, like, Maxi Kleba type player, maybe. I have Nick Clifford at 42, Will Riley 43, Tyrese Proctor 44, and John Mobley 45.
Alrighty, at 41 I have Bogoljub Markovic. That's my size and shooting. There's a lot of guys with size and shooting with like red flags everywhere else that are European guys, right? Like Ruzic is kind of the same with me. I just think Markovic has a little more off the dribble intrigue. So that's why I have him higher. And yeah, defense with these guys all question mark. So I have Markovic at 41. I have Jameer Watkins at 42. I still think Jameer Watkins could come into the league right away and be a solid role player. So I know he's old, 3-point shot, 33%. Like, yeah, I would like to see it a little bit better, but at least he's shooting more. He's shooting 5 a game. Last year he shot 3. And defensively, he can pass a little bit. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Herb Jones coming out of college.
So, I'm at 62. So
yeah,
still on the radar, I guess.
Yeah, I have Lendeborg. Is it Lendeborg? Because there's, I keep wanting to say Lendenborg.
There's no N.
Yeah, there's no N. I have Stojakovic at 44. Where'd you have Stojakovic?
23, I think.
Yeah,
23.
He's somebody I need to revisit. I'm just not watching much Cal, and I looked into him ahead of a lot of these guys, so naturally he falls. But he's shooting 32% from 3, so that's a little worrying. 1.8 assists to 2.2 turnovers. Hardest number to say. So yeah, that's just like my worries with him. But he has averaged 18 a game, so at 6'7" intrigue. And then I have Flory Badunga at 45.
Okay.
Do you have Flory Badunga on your board, or is he just like he should go back?
I don't have him on my board. I'm also worried about him not being as tall as.
Yeah, for me it's like because he's 6'9", right? I just feel like is there a little Robert Williams in there? Robert Williams 6'8", like Badunga's decently athletic, long arms, strong, energy is phenomenal. So just like that big man that can block some shots, move a little bit, play some defense and finish. I think like second round. I don't think it'll be much more than that. So I think like second round pick is where he belongs.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So there's a couple of big names that neither of us have said yet that are in my next 5.
All right. And those are?
Not the first one, I'm going to say. At 46, I have Sion James.
Okay.
47, I have Janai Broom. 48, I have Drake Powell. 49, I actually have Isaiah Evans in my top 60. And then 50, I have Cedric Coward.
Wait, 50? Oh,
yeah. 46 does 50.
Who?
Cedric. Do you know who Cedric Coward is? He played 6 games for Washington State. He's out for the year, but looked really, really good when he played.
I didn't. No, I don't know much about him.
Played at Eastern Washington before that. In 6 games for Washington State, he's a 6'6" wing. Averaged 18 points per game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 40% from 3, 71% from 2.
Mm-hmm.
Small sample, but some scouts really like it. Like he might be a first-round pick.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to watch his 6 games he played there.
Yeah. I'm actually very curious what you think of him.
Yeah.
And then Sion James, just defense plus playmaking plus he's able to move well, like connective piece role player. And he's shooting 41% from 3 this year, which was a question mark. And he shot 38% last year. So like that's just I feel like he could be a good kind of do-it-all role player. He's a 5th-year guy. All right, who's your 46 to 50?
At 46, I have Jonah Broom. Mackenzie Mbako at 47. 48, Walter Clayton Jr. Dink Pate at 49. And Rocco Zakarski at 50.
Nice. You notice how I haven't said Dink Pate yet? I looked into him and it was just like, nah.
So I watched that he was in the Rising Stars
He had a
game
really
or
bad
them.
missed three, man. I'm
Dude,
trying not to put too much into that one play, but I looked more
there
into him as
there were parts in that I was like, this dude is freaking terrible. And then
yeah.
there were a few plays where I was like, wow, this guy's intriguing. Like he had
Yeah.
both of it. So like I can't fully write him off yet, but yeah, I'm kind of close to writing him off. Just that shot form is so bad.
He's
But
very
like,
talented, but yeah, you can't
yeah.
shoot, and also like terrible feel for the game and
Hmm.
making plays for others and like decision making with some of his shots and
Yeah.
just really really bad red flags there. So,
Hmm.
and then Janai Broom is just like he's skilled, he's just too small to play center.
Yeah.
So how special can he be? I think he might be skilled enough to play the four though and be fine there and be like an intriguing bench big man.
Yeah.
Have you said Drake Powell yet?
No.
Yeah, that was the other big name because he was looked at as probably a lottery pick before the year. Just 3-and-D, not much else there. Should probably go back.
Yeah.
Same thing with Isaiah Evans. Isaiah Evans is just 3 and not much else. So
Yeah.
yeah, anybody else in that range that you want to talk about?
Not really.
Cool. All right, your turn. 51 to 55. We're getting
All
into
right,
the weeds here.
51, I have Tahad Pettiford. 52, Kanan Catchings. 53, your guy, Magoon Gwath. Finally makes my appearance here.
Nice.
54, Bogolja Markovic. 55, Drake Powell.
All right, 51. I have Kobe Brea.
Okay.
6'7" and maybe
Good
the best
shooter,
shooter in
yeah.
college basketball. Like,
Hmm.
could he be Sam Hauser, right? 52, I have Cannon Catchings. 53, I have Hunter Salas. 54, I have Ryan Kalkbrenner. 55, I have Rocco Zakarski.
All right.
Catchings has some intriguing upside. It's all theoretical. Like, he can make some shots. Just the off the dribble stuff is not close to working in the NBA. I feel like. So, and he's shooting 35% from 3. Like, is he really that good of a shooter? So he's a tough evaluation. I can see him becoming a good player. He's just very raw. He's multiple years away.
Yeah.
Kalkbrenner, I think, could maybe be a decent backup center where he's looked at as a steal at 54 where I have him, but just not much upside beyond that.
Yeah.
Salas, yeah. I don't even want to talk about Hunter Salas right now.
Yeah.
All right. And then Zakarski, like, just hasn't worked out for him this year.
Yeah.
All right. 56 to 60. I have a player at 60 that I have not seen close to any draft boards, okay?
All right.
All right. But when I say his name, if you know him, it'll make sense because I like this team. 56, I have Alex Tui. 57, I have Dink Pate. 58, I have Hanson Yang. 59, I have Mark Sears. 60, I have Thomas Howe.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know I like Florida, man.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that your third Florida guy?
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I was liking Florida when they were like borderline top 10 team, and now they might end up number 1 by the end of the year. So I've been on board the Florida train for a while.
Mm-hmm. All right, at 56 for me, I have a guy. I refuse to give up on this guy, even though he's been crap, but like he still does enough. Still has the size, playmaking, passing, off the dribble game that I just think he could just pop at some point in the NBA. That's Coleman Hawkins. I have Alex Caravan 57, Kobe Bray 58. Kalkbrenner 59 and Hanson Yang 60.
Yang's fun, man, but don't
Yeah.
see the translation there. Is there anybody you really want to touch upon there?
I mean, Caravan I think is decent enough role player to maybe find his way into the league and get some minutes, but you might also mention already mentioned Brea's shooting and Kalkbrenner's size and stuff, but yeah, that's pretty much everyone there.
Yep. And then, like, just outside my top 60. Okay, I don't know how deep I want to go with this, but Ruzic, Grunlow, Caravan, KJ Lewis, Visic, Proctor, Darian Williams. I looked a lot into him.
Yeah. Is this how you got JT Toppin?
I mean, JT Thompson's been going off, so we've
Yeah.
been, talking about, he's been going off. So Max Shulga is still entering Mbako, Sannon. It's about as deep as my board goes. But Darian Williams, dude, he's skilled. He's so slow. He's so slow. I just don't think he's going to be able to make it work.
Yeah. Yep, I am just outside my top 62. I also have Ruzic there. I do Thero, 63. Jimmy Watkins is down there. I have JT Top in there, but like I said earlier, I need to look into it a little more.
Yeah.
Yep. There's I love my Basketball Without Borders camp.
Yeah.
There's the best player there was a guy by the name of Ikenna Alozie. And
I've heard of his name.
He really showed out. Looked awesome in the highlights, but everything I'm seeing is he might be 5'11", so it's like crap. Like if he had a little bit more size, it'd be someone maybe worth.
There's a couple of guys that I have the same feeling of. Javon Small out of West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis Jones for Iowa State has been going off for them. They're a really good team. So I don't know, man. He can really score the ball. It is crafty. I just don't know if it's good enough to crack a big board. This is how deep in the weeds I went last night. This is how deep in the weeds. I was looking at like Curtis Jones, Javon Small, like a lot of these types of guys. Thomas Howe. So, okay, let me just the last guy I want to talk about, Thomas Howe, man. Insane energy forward. Insane energy forward. I think he can be a really good defender. He's shooting 33% from three. He's a sophomore. But, like, the way he flies around, good rebounder, he has flashes of playmaking. He's 6'9", like, decent athlete. I just could see him being, like, not quite Camara-ish. It's funny because since we have Camara, it's like, okay, who's the next Camara? Right? But I think he'll go back to school and maybe take a jump next year and then be a second-round pick in 2026. I could see him being really good defender at 6'9" that's able to make a three and make a pass and like attack a closeout occasionally and just be like he's the hardest playing player on the floor pretty much all the time. So he's super fun. So I had him at 60. I haven't seen him near any boards. I like him.
Mm-hmm. How about you guys in chat? Do you have any sleepers that we didn't mention or that aren't necessarily high on our boards?
Yeah, other than Caleb Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know.
I don't know what Alex's obsession with Caleb Love is, but
yeah, he's a chucker. He's a chucker that has never improved his game in years. Like, he just chucks a bunch of shots, is wildly inconsistent. He's the definition of a G League guard. He's the very definition of a G League guard who plays in Summer League, has impressive moments in Summer League. Like, he's Antonio Blakeney. For his career, he's a 32% shooter from three. He's a 37% shooter from the field. He's shooting 30% from three this year.
Should be so much better.
He's a 5-year college player. He's never going to be efficient enough. He's not a pure point guard at all. He doesn't really make plays for others at that level. So he's just an inefficient scoring guard. I don't really see how that's an NBA guy. Did y'all mention Walter Clayton Jr.? Yeah, I had him at 36. I forget where I had him, like 48. Something like that. See, but Walter Clayton shoots from three what Caleb Love shoots from the field. So.
Yeah, 48. Yeah. Good memory.
I know he's not good. I was just asking if he's going to get drafted. Nah.
No.
If a team's dumb, maybe, but
He might have been a late second guy if he came out 2 years ago, but he's just tanked all his stock.
Farrell says, y'all heard of Taryn Todd? Have you heard of Taryn Todd? I have not heard of him. Inform me. I am intrigued. Like I was looking at tape of I was looking at Elijah Mahi. You ever heard of him?
That sounds familiar, but I can't.
Junior forward for Santa Clara, 6'7", shooting 43% from three. Averages 2.5 assists per game. Like, feels like he might be the next Santa Clara NBA guy. Like, the guys I have queued up to watch tape on at this point are, like, deep sleepers that Locked On Big Board has talked about, right? So, like Hayden Gray. Let's see. I have a list. Hayden Gray. Adrian Woolley. These are just some of the deep sleepers they had. Cam Williams, Cruz Davis, Keontae Jones. Boo Boo Benjamin. Tyrone Riley the fourth, which I actually watched him a little bit because he plays for San Francisco. Ethan Taylor. They also had on this list of like deep sleepers, Magoon Gwath and Bennett Sturts.
Oh, nice.
So,
our guys.
Yep, our guys. Yeah, I saw somebody say Magoon Gwath is like if Bol Bol cared and knew how to play defense. Which is super funny to me, but like I actually kind of see it. So he's not as tall as Bol Bol, but yeah, I thought that was a funny thing. So yeah, man. I mean, this is the earliest I've had like a top 70-ish. Like I feel very good about the work that I've done on scouting this draft, and I'm starting to really come around to what I feel like are well-formulated opinions on these guys, on a lot of these guys.
Good job, man.
Yeah. So we'll be ready. I'm looking forward to our next mock draft because, like, if the right team's at 8, I don't know who, but like I might take the Con Knipple, even though I have him at 20. I think outside of the top 8 or so guys, team fit is going to matter more than ever for some of these players. We never talked about Jace Richardson. Let's end with him.
All right.
He's not as good as McCain was last year, but he just kind of feels like Jared McCain-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Really good feel for the game. Doesn't make many mistakes. Shoots a good 3-ball. And like has some creativity and craft off the dribble. Now, he only plays 23 minutes a game, but he's averaging 10 points. Per 40 minutes, he's averaging 18 points, 4.5 boards, 3 assists. The worry is, he's point guard size. He's 6'2", 6'3", and doesn't really have point guard skills. But that was also kind of the worry about McCain. And McCain looked phenomenal when he played this year. And I see some of the same creativity that McCain showed this year off the dribble. I see a little bit of it in Jace Richardson. So I had him like, I was tempted to put him 8, 9, 10. Like, as I said, it's really tough for me to rank that part of my board. He's good. I don't know how much you've looked into him, Eric, or what your reservations are, because you had him at 30, right?
Yeah. He seems like he's gonna measure 6'1.5", and like
isn't that what McCain measured?
Like Collier did last year too. I thought McCain measured a little bigger than that, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
McCain measured 6'2" without shoes.
Yeah.
For him, it's like I discounted McCain. I discounted McCain more than I should have, and it's like I don't want to make that same mistake. And it feels like that's the type of guy where I discount him too much. I just think like high feel, craft, creativeness, doesn't make mistakes, makes threes. Like that's a good player. That maybe has sneaker upside because like nobody viewed Jared McCain as like a super high upside pick, and he looked like maybe he was the best rookie this year. Like he had a lot of games where it's like, damn, this dude might already be a star. Like he had a stretch of games where he tore it up. So
yeah,
it's just like is a guy like Jace Richardson capable of the same thing? I don't know. It's tough, man. The evaluations in this draft are fascinating. This is my favorite draft to try and evaluate ever, but it's also my most frustrating draft to try and evaluate ever at the same time. But I love it.
I agree with that, too.
Had my guy Born in here giving me crap for talking about the bottom 10, 50 to 60 on my big board, man. I love this stuff. I live for this. So that's why our draft coverage is top notch, because this is what we live for, man. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed.
Eric Olsen thinks Jace has a better first step than McCain.
Yeah, that might be true. Yeah, I could see like Jace. I don't know, man. Like I have a feeling if I don't have him in my top 10, he's going to start next year and look like a top 3 player from the class, look exactly like McCain did this year, to be like, wow, I made the same mistake again. Like, you try and learn from having guys too low or having guys too high, and it's like, is this like the next Jared McCain that I need to learn from not having Jared McCain in my top 10? I don't know. It's super tough. But I have him right around where I had McCain, so I don't know, Eric. Like this is the All-Star break. I don't have to do post-game shows, so I start doing mental gymnastics about these players. We're different. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this post-game, our big board reveal. I'm glad we cut to the big board an hour in, because we just did our big board for like an hour and a half. I know you want to go to bed, so
I was like 2 hours.
Yeah. I didn't think it would take this long, man. But I mean, it's a lot of players to run through. So, and we haven't done one in a while, so wanted to talk more about players that we hadn't talked about in a while. I think at this point, since we've revealed our top 60, we can talk a little bit more about prospects, like on each stream, because we've kind of been saving it for this. But that's why it went so long, is because we've been saving.
Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be live again on Saturday. That'll be a call-in night, so if you want to call in, share your opinions on anything, you can. The Blazers play the Hornets, so we'll see if they can win. Yeah, here comes the really easy stretch of games, Eric, where the Blazers win some games, people say they're back, people start talking about the play-in again, and then their schedule gets tougher. Because coming up, let me pull it up here. I don't have a graphic for this, but coming up, the Blazers play the Hornets, the Jazz, the Wizards, and the Nets the next 4 games.
Pretty steep competition.
Yeah, so they play the Hornets Saturday, 7 p.m. We'll be live at about 9:30.
Tank is on.
Yep. Monday at the Jazz. Wednesday at the Wizards. They go on an East Coast trip there, so that's a 4 p.m. tip-off time. And then Friday, so every other day, Friday at the Nets, 4:30 p.m. That is a shot night. We haven't had one of those in a while. That is a shot night on Friday. So that post-game show will go live at like 7.
Nice.
So figured that was a good time for that. But yeah, they have a 7-game road trip coming up. Utah, Washington, Brooklyn. Then it gets harder. Cleveland, Philadelphia. I guess that's an easy game. Boston, Thunder. Our next mock draft will be on March 3rd. And our next big board will be on March 17th, which I believe is before Selection Sunday, but like in the middle of conference tournaments, if I recall correctly. I'm not entirely sure when is Selection Sunday. While I look this up, anything else, Eric?
No, thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a good night. Hope to see you Saturday.
Yep, looking forward to that. So yeah, on the 17th or 18th, we'll have our next big board. That'll be right after Selection Sunday. So we will do that big board and preview March Madness. And that's a post game after the Wizards, so I'm not sure we'll talk at all about that game. But yeah, looking forward to Saturday. Looking forward to call-ins. Looking forward to being back, man. And we'll see how the Blazers look. You know, they lost tonight. They fall to 23-33. They probably should have won tonight. Some guys struggled, but right back on it at Saturday. We'll give you a little bit more of a full game breakdown then, and we'll take your calls then. So hit the like button on the way out. If you're watching back after the fact, leave your thoughts in the comment section on any prospects that you have opinions on. We always like to read those. And thank you, guys, those of you who hung out for our big board. It's always fun to reveal our big board. Shout out to BetUS. Check them out as always. And we are out of here. Have a good rest of your Thursday. Have a good Friday. We'll see you Saturday. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.